Whether you're looking to build a website for your business, your hobby, your podcast, or just for fun, Pair Networks is your go-to web hosting partner. Not only do we have the lowest domain price in the industry, starting at just $11, we've got hundreds of stunning website templates to help you stand out from the crowd. You're not a techie? Not a problem. With our easy DIY site builders, you can launch your impressive website without any technical know-how. And when it comes to security and updates, don't worry, we've got you covered. Our 24/7 US-based customer support is the best in the industry. Check out pair.com today to learn more. PAIR.com.
Attention Talking Simpsons listeners, we have a special mini-series just for you.
We're going through the entire first season of King of the Hill, and you can only hear it if you're a $5 and up patron at patreon.com/Talking Simpsons.
We're giving the Talking Simpsons treatment to all 13 episodes of King of the Hill's first season, and if you want a free sample, you'll find the first episode available for free in the Talking Simpsons feed. Patreon.com/Talking Simpsons. It's the only place you'll find the first season of Talk King of the Hill.
Made you go click, 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 click. It's real easy, man.
Cartoons from present and the past. Every week will be an animated bash. What a cartoon! What a cartoon! Maybe a short but mostly shows. We'll talk, we'll analyze, exploring as we go. What a cartoon! What a cartoon! What a cartoon!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to What a Cartoon, where podcasting is a real man's trade. I'm your host, Bob Mackey, and my door is always open for you! And this is an audio exploration of every cartoon ever. Who is here with me today?
Henry Gilbert, and I'm full of ideas.
And today's episodes are the Tom Goes to the Mayor episodes, Bear Traps, and Surprise Party.
Mayor's office. Who's there, please?
And yes, this is technically a cartoon. Before you get pedantic, everybody, there are photographs of people that are photoshopped and they're moving around, drawn images. So it counts as a cartoon, in my opinion.
It's as computer animated as Toy Story, I would say.
That's right. It's using the same technology as Toy Story.
But I mean, yeah, it's Photoshop, and it moves up and down, and occasionally, I mean, the stills of characters in this are as animated as like Dr. Katz or home movies. Or
I would
whatever.
compare it to early home movies and Dr. Katz. Like, if we can
Yeah.
do home movies and Dr. Katz, we can do Tom Goes to the Mayor. I'm being so defensive right off the bat. No one is attacking me yet. But this was chosen by patron Philip Jacobi, who is one of our $50 patrons. If you're in that tier, you get to choose an episode every, 4 months?
Yes.
So he chose this episode of Tom Goes to the Mayor. Or sorry, he chose the Bear Traps episode, and we have another one of our favorites on here, too, to make this a value for Philip. Philip Jacobi says, my sister and I grew up partly in the Allentown/Bethlehem area of Pennsylvania. Incidentally, the same area of the country that Tim and Eric both come from, so it's no surprise that I love Tom Goes to the Mayor. It captures the absurdity and banality of the Rust Belt in its dying throes in a way Billy Joel couldn't even dream. Yes, we'll talk more about how the Rust Belt informs Tom Goes to the Mayor. I'm from Youngstown, Ohio, another famously bad town. So Billy Joel sung about Allentown. Bruce Springsteen made a song about Youngstown. So we're so bad, people have to make songs about it.
We're living here in Allentown, and they come to shut the factory down.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I don't know. Youngstown is much less catchy than Allentown, by the way.
That's how I feel about Billy Joel versus, there's a slight connection to Billy Joel with this show, too, but I'll explain it later.
And Bruce Springsteen will not do The Simpsons for some reason.
I don't get
Mike
that.
Scully really wants to get him on the show, but come on, Bruce, lighten up. But I mean, ultimately, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, I want to go into my grand theory about how Tom Goes to the Mayor is secretly about how capitalism fails people. Because Tim and Eric are both big leftists. Tim is in the DSA even.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like it's their politics being filtered through this absurdist cartoon. But before we start, I want to know our history with Tom Goes to the Mayor. Henry, I assume we have the same history.
Well, yes, because in 2004, I think you and I were both the highly online comedy nerds that you had before social media. And that especially meant you were a huge fan of Mr. Show and you followed everything that any Mr. Show person did. And you were definitely updating the webpage, bobanddavid.com.
I was going to mention bobanddavid.com because that's where podcaster, what's his name, came out of.
Doug
Benson.
Doug Benson.
Yes,
Yeah, that's how I followed. He was one of the first podcasts I listened to because he was part of bobanddavid.com as well.
And Bob and David were not doing a lot of things after Mr. Show, so they were updating the webpage a lot. We got lots of fun articles about Jim Belushi from David. Maybe a little too mean. I think Jim Belushi has mainly or mostly kind of saved face after the new Twin Peaks.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. He seems like a bad person, but okay.
Ultimately, yes. But he has one good role at least.
But yeah, so all the stuff for Tom, before Tim and Eric got their own website, they were part of Bob and David, like the original Tom Goes to His Mayor were on there, and they were advertising the premiere on Adult Swim. And, you know, now Bob Odenkirk is a fixture of television you can't get rid of. But at the time, the idea of Bob Odenkirk executive producing a new television show, that got me to watch it day one. And on top of that, too, like in 2004, I was a big fan of the D, of Tenacious D. I was following them pretty closely, too, because of their connection to Mr. Show. And so, yeah, I was there day one. Also, I would have just seen it because every Sunday was Adult Swim night. You watch what's new.
You watch every episode, even Family Guy if you didn't like it.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yes. I mean, I have the exact same story as you, Henry. And I'm sure I found it through bobanddavid.com, but I'm sure we're on the same page. Like, we love this show. And watching it again reminded me of, like, this is where Tim and Eric began. And this really influenced my own sense of humor, my own comedy writing. I've been writing comedy, like my comedy writing, quote unquote, career, if you want to call it that. I'm not going to be too presumptuous, but I started writing comedy maybe like a year after the show began.
Wow.
And I feel like their sensibility really let me know, like, no, people will respond to this sort of weirdness. It's okay. And I've been doing the same sort of thing for, I don't know, 15 years now, almost.
I think it showed me a place where like my comedic sensibilities could go to, where I was kind of getting tired of just like, I'll say the dirtiest word or the most scatological thing or whatever. And like Tim and Eric, on Tom Goes to the Mayor, they never swear. Like, dirty words aren't said, but it's also a filthy show.
Yeah, Tom will not swear, famously on the show.
But like, filthy things happen on it, but they talk around it. They're just like, well, you know, this is just normal. I shaved off all my pubic hair and then showed my genitals to a child, and they just treat that as normal because they're said in a calm way. And that, I just love the jokes of that, and also just the weirdest of it. Now it feels hack. If somebody's joke is just I mispronounce a word, that is hack to me, but it was not that way in 2004. So hearing things like the mayor say fascinating, like that, or mind the typo, stuff like that really made me laugh.
And then putting the actual word on the screen beneath him so you know what he's saying.
And also just the comedy of, this also feels hack now in an Instagram age, but the comedy of taking a picture of yourself making the stupidest face you possibly can and a terrible, dumb, like Sears catalog pose. That was so hilarious. It all felt like new and special. Like that was a big draw for me of Tom Goes to the Mayor at the very start of it. And, you know, Tim and Eric, their comedic sensibilities, they've improved as comedy creators and actors and all that. But so much of what they're good at is in Tom Goes to the Mayor, for sure.
Yeah, I like that in this series they are tied down to a premise and a setting and characters. I mean, I love everything they've done after that, but I like that they're able to explore one thing a lot, which they've made a lot, and they never really stick to one idea, which is why they're so talented and popular. They are always doing something new, but I like that they're kind of stuck with these characters in this setting just to make the most of it. That's like, 30 episodes total, right?
Yeah, 30 whole episodes, and they went to after this, they did Tim and Eric Awesome Show, Great Job, which that is more to truly being a Mr. Show follow-up, like the spiritual successor to Mr. Show, because it is a live-action sketch show that interconnects a story throughout. It makes more sense for them, and it was a better receptacle for their comedic ideas than trying to fit it into the stories of Tom Goes to the Mayor. But I also like what the structure made them do in Tom Goes to the Mayor. And also, it happened at a time when Adult Swim had the rule of like, no, you have to be animated. A couple years later, they'd be like, we can have live-action things. Not a problem.
Although there is plenty of live action in the show.
Right? Oh, yes, yeah.
So we have to prove who was the biggest fan, and I brought something with me, Henry.
Oh, no.
That I've been hiding poorly. We had lunch before this. So I'm going to do a live unhoodieing on the air. I'm taking off my hoodie, and it's the Rats Off to You t-shirt.
Wow, I did not see that coming.
My second oldest t-shirt. I only wear it because it means a lot to me, and famously from the Christmas episode where it's so funny Tom has to hold a piece of paper over it because the mayor won't stop laughing. And this shirt shipped with a piece of yellow legal pad paper.
Just to cover it up. That's amazing.
Yes.
Oh, I love. I actually did have the mayor's response of seeing it and just laughing.
It's pretty nice. It's pretty disgusting, and I would not wear this in public any other day. But I held on to it. It's a 15-year-old T-shirt.
Well, you have an undershirt under it, I think. Too,
Well, it's
right?
cold outside. Yes.
Okay,
I have to protect the shirt.
No, I should have bought that Rats Off T-shirt. I did not.
So I have the two other shirts that I think they sold through timanderic.com, which was the Base Fest shirt and the Pipe Camp shirt. And those disintegrated over time. This is the one I kept.
I love the Rats Off T-shirt because it is a shirt in the show too.
Yeah.
And the only other thing I remember them selling that I contemplated getting, but clearly you've won the fan off of having actually having the merch still. But they did a Channel 5 Married News Team calendar.
I did not buy that. I really wanted it.
And it was but it was for the year of the 80s that also matched up all the same days as this year.
I think it was 1990, and it was in the episode.
That's right. Yeah.
Where
yeah.
that's what they dig up from the time capsule was the 1990 Married News calendar.
They are good at advertising. They were good at selling stuff ahead of time too. I mean, the production pipeline that they created, I think Tim and Eric were way ahead of the curve of a lot of they understood that for our generation and younger of content creators, you need to just do everything and need to know how to do it. You can't just be, handed a production company or given a development deal. It's like, no, you're making this show.
It really was a new philosophy about, let's call it content creation, where these guys were given orders to make TV shows, but then they just played around. They're like, what if we pretended we were part of the Shrek promotional team promoting Shrek 3? They just got bored, and I love their spirit, and it inspires me too. If you want to make something, make it. Don't ask for permission. Don't wait until someone tells you to make something. Go out and make it and do it and put it out there and see what people think about it.
Yeah, I remember in between seasons of Tom Goes to the Mayor that they would just do Cinco promotional things that they'd post on bobanddavid.com of just Tom on the phone with a Cinco representative about his phone stuff. And
there needs to be just a compilation of just non-televised, just side projects they've done.
They make too much stuff, but I also like that too. They are prolific creators. That's why I really enjoy. But I mean, they're both good as just straight up actors cast in either comedies or not comedies. Mm-hmm. But when they can make everything, they do such a good job of it. It's really impressive. And that their production company became a launching pad for so many other shows just because they had a production company for people to operate out of.
And people got to know Tim Heidecker's dad saying, absolutely.
Every commentary when that scene happens, Tim will say, and that's my dad every time. And it's just their sensibility of just disturbed suburbanness obviously really spoke to me and a whole generation of white children.
Yes,
for sure.
who are just becoming adults at this time and entering the real world. Let's talk about Tim Heidecker, who plays Tom, and Eric Wareheim, who plays the mayor. I'm going to say this now, and I could be going too far, Henry. Possibly the most important figures in modern comedy.
That is a big thing to say.
Or alt comedy, which is not really a real thing.
Alt comedy was kind of dead as a separate brand by the mid-2000s, of the mid-aughts, I should say.
But they did a lot of original stuff, obviously. But I think what they did was make it okay for internet humor to be on TV. The things on Tom Goes to the Mayor were the things I was laughing at on the internet. The funny animations I would watch on the internet, those could never be on TV. But Tom Goes to the Mayor felt like a weird web cartoon I was watching.
Yeah. The web, the internetness of it really helped. And also having, at first they had all these alt comedy people on that worked as a way of saying, oh no, see, Tom Goes to the Mayor is good. They have on Patton Oswalt or Michael Ian Black. But then later it came into they had they put Louis Anderson in an episode. I guess it's funny to laugh at Louis Anderson now, ironically, and they definitely popularized the ironic distance of anything for sure, and also just zooming in on disgusting close-ups of normal things, like mostly involving sauce and food
and meats,
meats, definitely meats.
Yeah.
Though I'm just I don't need ironic distance to like briskets. I just like briskets.
Briskets.
I don't eat I don't smoke pipes with that brisket.
Well, you're not getting the nice flavor profile of pipe meats brisket. So they were both born in 1976, and they were from the cursed Midwest, where I hail from. One state over, the state of Pennsylvania, but still in the Rust Belt. They met at Temple University in Philadelphia, and that's where they became comedy partners. I recall like past interviews with them where they would talk about being in film classes and everyone taking it way too seriously.
Yes,
and they were the guys who were like, we want to do fun things, but everyone just wanted to make like black and white documentaries about, just like terrible, horrible subject matter.
Yeah, they all wanted to be the next, Scorsese, and Tim and Eric just want to make goofy shit. And I appreciate that sensibility. Like it's, they're so, when I took a couple of film classes in college, just the self-seriousness of it, like it bothered me, but I wasn't transgressing against that self-seriousness either, because I didn't have the guts to. I was just like, well, but I want to seem like a grown-up, and a grown-up says Citizen Kane is the best movie ever, which Citizen Kane is one of the greatest movies
It really
ever.
is.
But that's a lame-ass safe opinion to have as a college kid trying to prove you're not a child anymore. The last thing I would do is make a silly video about like lobsters or whatever as they did some of their first stuff in college. Like they were more fearless than most college students were to make something silly and but artfully do it too.
For sure. And there was no real path to success for a comedic person at that point in time. I mean, you could go into television if you wanted to, and they did, obviously, but there was no YouTube. There were no podcasts. There was no, like, I'll go on this platform and do a thing. They had to build their own website, which is timanderic.com, which is where their short films would go, including the, let's call it the pilot, I guess, of Tom Goes to the Mayor.
Yeah.
The first film, which they did enter into film festivals and stuff like that in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I think they also they set up a road to success, or their A Star Is Born, is that they made a short film that could be their calling card. It reminds me a lot in comic books too. You don't get hired by Marvel to write a comic book because you say, I'm good at writing and here's a script I wrote, nobody's ever drawn it. You do it by creating a comic book independently to prove to Marvel you can do it, and then they hire you. And that's very much what Tim and Eric did too. They made Tom Goes to the Mayor. They see people get people like Bob Odenkirk can see that they can make something and they are funny, and then they get hired, or the door opens from there. Like that is the calling card.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to learn from how they approached or how they became famous, because Henry and I, basically, to get interviews and to get guests, we just ask people. Actually, Henry asks the most people. He does a lot of the asking.
We both ask people.
It's basically just cold calling people, and that's what they did with Bob Odenkirk. They sent him a tape of all of their best stuff, and I think to make it more interesting or more comedic or more memorable, they attached an invoice to the package or whatever, saying you owe us money for this, by the way.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's like, that is a very, and that, yeah, I think in one of the interviews, I remember them saying that they just looked up the the phone number that was publicly available of the production company of Mr. Show, and just asked them like, hey, what's Bob Odenkirk's address? Where can I send this? And they just gave it, because people are irresponsible, and then you can take advantage of that.
And so many people are afraid of even hearing no that they won't do it. So if you're not afraid of hearing no, or no response at all, like, just do it. And I think they definitely proved that there's no harm in just saying, well, why don't we talk to this person? Why don't we call them? I mean, I feel like that is something important that all creative people should learn early in their lives.
Yeah, I think for the longest time, I was afraid. In 2003 or even 2013, I would have never had the guts to contact Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah.
And I think over time, I just got more used to like, well, wouldn't it be cool to talk to? Well, I think for us, it definitely helped. Our Bob Odenkirk is Bill Oakley.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, and we've done 2 podcasts with him and a live show. So it feels like, now I think about like, well, we talked to Bill Oakley. This guy is just like Bill Oakley. Why wouldn't he talk to me? Or he's like, he's of the same pedigree of success and writing, fame, and talent.
And Bill Oakley still, being safe and secure and not killed by us proves that we're not insane, and you can trust us for an interview.
He won't give us a TV show yet.
Not yet. I mean, yeah, it's that is impressive too, that like Bob Odenkirk, with his modest at the time amount of Hollywood power, was able to be like, you know what, I don't want to particularly make a show, but I'll executive produce somebody else making a show.
Yeah, I mean, Bob Odenkirk wanted to make more TV because, Mr. Show ended in 1998, and there was a sort of period of time where he made the Mr. Show movie Run, Ronnie, Run. I believe that was like, 2002-ish or something,
yep.
and that's another podcast, frankly, not this one, but there were lots of problems with that. And his career was kind of stalling out as a performer and as a show creator and actor. There was like nothing going on. So I don't want to say he just became a producer, but he decided like, I will produce people in order to make things because clearly nobody wants what I'm making. I think he tried to get another sketch comedy show off the ground. I think it was called Next.
Yeah.
And Jay Johnston was in it. I've seen the pilot, but I mean, he was having a rough time. And Bob Odenkirk is immensely talented, and now he is like a megastar, like you said. I think people know him not from Mr. Show, but from Breaking Bad. And
1000%.
now Better Call Saul, which has gone on for like 5 seasons so far.
He is a huge television star. He has to be the most famous Saturday Night Live writer other than Conan O'Brien, I would say, who was only a writer, not on the show proper. Like, I think Bob Odenkirk is number 2 now. And but at the time, they talk about this in the, this is dangerously close to being a Mr. Show podcast now, but
we have to stop before it's 3 hours though.
But they talk about in the, you maybe had I've heard the audio version of it, but there's the book of their unproduced scripts for 2 Mr. Show films.
Oh, right.
Which also has a few Mr. Show sketches they never made. And in it, Bob and David are very clear of like, there was a 5-6 year period where they had enough clout to get in a room and to say like, look, here's a pitch. We clearly look at these DVD sales of Mr. Show. We have an audience. Give us as much money as you'd give Rob Schneider for a garbage movie and let us make a movie. And all they got to hear was no, not doing it. Just over and over and over again. And to the point where like, it breaks your heart and drives you crazy. And and also like Bob and David kind of had an amicable creative split. Like they were just taking jobs separately. And so, in Amy Poehler's book, Yes, Please, she talks about how like she had executive produced all these shows, multiple shows that were her idea. And then she wanted to start helping as she got older, wanted to shepherd in other creative people. And also because it was easier. She's like, you get still the executive producer credit and money, but you work a lot at first. And then eventually you've trained your children how to, you've potty trained them on their own, and you can leave the room and go make money somewhere else.
Yeah.
And
you can technically make more things because you're not doing everything.
Yeah. And you get hopefully you've found good people who make good art, and you've improved the comedy scene in general by uplifting somebody like that, which Amy Poehler definitely did too with executive producing shows like Broad City and Difficult People.
That's right. I feel kind of bad for the Birthday Boys, though. I love the Birthday Boys, by the way. I own both their DVDs.
They're the greatest.
I have one of their T-shirts. I've seen them live like 3 times. They're a great sketch group. But I feel like Bob Odenkirk had to leave them, and that took a lot of wind out of their sails because of Better Call Saul.
Yeah, it was some pretty bad timing for them selling a show to IFC right when he becomes a regular on one of the most critically acclaimed television shows of all time.
Yeah.
And The Birthday Boys is such a funny show.
It's good, yeah. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere, but man, it was so underrated. There's like only 20 episodes. It's such great sketch comedy. And I like that no sketch comedy does this anymore, but it's sketch comedy without a laugh track or an audience, which is the bravest form of sketch comedy, period. I always respect that.
And their sketches are not made to be shared on YouTube either, really. Like, they don't work. I mean, Whoosh is one of my favorites, but it's not paced like a share on Twitter kind of thing, or the we were just talking about their one today of the there's too many TV shows.
Yeah,
like
there's too many shows. So going back to the original Tom Goes to the Mayor mini movie, if you want to call it that, I believe that is what Bob Odenkirk saw, and then they produced a second one with David Cross in it.
Yeah.
It was called Tom Goes to the Mayor Returns.
That's right. It was, and that gave them even more credence of like, and that at the time, I think David was operating more out of New York in the West Coast or East Coast. So I think he was more gettable for making stuff.
After Tom Goes to the Mayor Returns, that's when they started production on the series, and it ran for 30 episodes and 2 seasons from November 11, 2004 to September 25th, 2006. And right from there, they immediately went to their next show for Adult Swim, which was The Awesome Show. But before we go on to their later projects, and we'll talk a bit about those, of course, let's talk about Tom Goes to the Mayor, what it's about, and its inner core philosophy. And I have some thoughts about this, Henry, now that my brain has expanded since my early 20s when I first watched the show. Like knowing who Tim and Eric are, and knowing who their politics are. Don't worry, this will not be a political podcast or anything. I just want to know what Henry thinks about this idea. I think this show, it's definitely a post 9/11 show. And it answers the question, what happens after the end of history? That is my thesis about this show. Just like,
wow,
the promises of the future were not delivered. We are like an eternal war. Everyone is poor. The president is awful. Like, and we're just, there's no hope. Everyone is living pointless lives. And this is it. This is all we have.
Yeah. Wow. I really agree with that. Actually, I think the returning to it now, the empty, they have a true vision to the emptiness of life that is Jefferton. And like Jefferton is any suburban town, and just like this hopelessness, and just like all you have are these rundown factory made strip malls, and just huge people just eating themselves to death out of depression. Like there's, from the first episode, the town hall is a buffet. Like that's how empty it is.
And like every restaurant in this town is a buffet. If you look at the background, I wrote down people living bleak, pointless lives, eating garbage, and trying to sell each other worthless products no one needs. And there are needless levels of bureaucracy, and everything is run by completely inept management class that does not care.
Yeah.
Like it feels like the ultimate satire of post 9/11 America, where I think, again, not to get too political on this podcast, I know you guys don't mind that much, but I feel like it is a critique of capitalism where the response to a terror attack was go out and shop. And I think this is like the natural result of that mentality. Just like we must consume.
You're always scared,
deal
so
with
you
pain.
must consume. And well, and you're constantly racking up debt. Like debt is a constant theme in this show. So many episodes, including one of the ones we do here, is about debt.
Yeah.
And just no one has any money. No one pays for anything with cash, and just everything is just like empty and hopeless. And if I may get a little up my own butt here.
Oh, please. We're traveling up that direction right now.
It does remind me of the work of Edward Albee.
Oh, you're right.
But it's just like the emptiness of everything, and just how like, well, but we all agree that this emptiness exists, and we have to just smile through it. And so you just go like, haha, that is correct. Yeah. And like,
Tom is the character who has to pretend everything is okay constantly.
Yes, he is constantly trod upon by every person alive. And he just has to go like, well, okay. All right. I guess I'll deal with that. Sure.
This is what's happening now.
Yeah, and you just take it, or the way he there's this kind of Principal Skinner quality to him as well.
Yes.
Where he will just announce the things as like, well, and as you know, I had to give my wife all my money, and we all know that.
He's seeking sympathy,
Yes,
but he will never get it from anyone. Now, you might be thinking, Bob Mackey, you're possibly full of shit about this. You might be thinking too hard about this. It's a funny show about absurdist characters and gross out humor, but I think that because Tim and Eric grew up in the Rust Belt, that directly informs their point of view about the world and their style of comedy. And I am not saying I'm as funny as these guys in any way, but I know where that comes from, that point of view, where they were born in 1976 and I was born in 1982. When they were born into the world, all hope left that area forever. There will be no hope. There is no recovery. No jobs will ever come back. No one has a future. The only thing to do is leave. That is the Rust Belt. The only thing you do in the Rust Belt is leave, or you're just in the prison of your own making. That is it. It is a very unique part of America, uniquely terrible. If you're wondering why I'm so harsh about my hometown, it's famously bad, but you don't know the Rust Belt lifestyle, and I pray you never do. But
Jefferton is a dose of that. That pure hope. Though they also do base Jefferton on parts of L.A. too.
That too, for sure. The strip mall
which we
culture.
were just living there. We stayed a week there just recently, and when we were walking through the area of North Hollywood / Burbank that we were staying in, we walked by like 3 different dentist offices, all in these strip mall style slabs.
With like bad clip art designs and terrible fonts.
This is Tom Goes to the Mayor. Like, this is what they base this shit on, for sure.
It's just sort of like how King of the Hill, so we're doing Talking of the Hill, the first season exploration of King of the Hill on our Patreon. Arlen is every suburb, but it's also specifically very Texan in certain ways. I feel that way about Jefferton. It's every suburb, but also very specifically Rust Belt in many ways that you can only really identify with if you grew up in the bleak concrete hell of the Rust Belt.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they are funneling that there and there, but I mean, they also got political. And I mean, if you're fans of Mr. Show, then you also are a lefty political type person, I should think, unless you're like a fucking brain dead person who has no clue what Mr. Show was. But Tim and Eric, like that, already pointed them in that direction. But they also kind of knew, I think they rightly guessed that to be so explicitly political would kind of limit their show, and they needed to go at it in a different angle, and also still just tell kind of, you know, funny. It also really does remind me of a UK show and its bleakness, and how just like, you know, some of my favorite UK comedy that I've seen, like one I remember especially that's not big in America is called Phoenix Nights, and it is about
Phoenix Wright, the classic Game Boy Advance game.
It's about people who love hamburgers and law. No, Phoenix Nights is about this like old pensioners club, this kind of old folks home, and every episode is about horrible indignities done to bad people, and there's no hope. There's never hope. Things just only get worse for characters, and you're just left feeling unhappy and sad. And that's the kind of feeling that Tom Goes to the Mayor often leaves me with too, which is a very un-American style of storytelling for sure.
Tom perseveres too much. He doesn't win because he doesn't know when to give up.
Yes,
he just perseveres too much, and that's why he fails.
He also has like no self-worth and just accepts it too. Like every bad thing that happens to him is just, I guess, what is supposed to happen to me, thinks Tom.
So the show is all about Tom Peters, who is an inept entrepreneur who has more persistence than intelligence, and most episodes are about him presenting a new idea to the mayor, who immediately misinterprets it in a way that makes Tom's life much worse. That is the central premise of the show. They eventually get away from Tom presenting a new idea in every episode. They want to explore more of his life and his family members and his children, and even more of the mayor's life too.
And it starts with Tom in a slightly bad situation that the mayor either naively thinks that this will improve things, or he is aware that he is making Tom's life worse and does not care. It can be played either way. That they even joke on the commentaries of like, oh, we made the mayor a little more evil in this episode. They change their minds on that sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes the mayor is a bit sadistic in like punishing Tom. Sometimes he doesn't know who Tom is. The mayor is an insane person. And that's why he became mayor, because he could only become mayor in Jefferton because nobody cares.
No one cares.
He just shows up and pretends he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Which, hey, that makes you that is in a way a political statement too, that the mayor is in charge as a politician there. And also you think of how Tim has gotten more outwardly political in his stuff since, but they're still there in this. I definitely agree with you.
I think he made like a Donald Trump album called Too Dumb for Suicide or something like that, or
Yeah,
Too Stupid for Suicide.
He also did Everyone Get Aboard the Kane Train for Herman Cain.
That's right.
I'll talk all about On Cinema later in this.
I really want to know about that.
On Cinema is all about that. I'll tell you later.
So the visual style of the show is what often puts people off because it is very representative of the content and the writing and everything. So it's purposefully ugly. The characters
washed out, colorless.
Yeah, the characters are photographs of real people with like a mimeograph filter. So they look like very cheap photocopies. If you're as old as Henry and I don't know if you had like a Ditto machine in grade school with like the purple like blotchy ink all over cheap paper before like your school could afford a Xerox machine or something like that.
Back when people even wanted anything on paper.
Yeah. But yeah, they have a harsh filter applied to them, and every character, it's sort of like Dr. Katz, where they don't really move a lot between cuts, but they're always in like the most extreme or unflattering pose. And they're and like they seemingly always have a finger in the air, like when they're talking.
Oh yes,
it's very stagey and theatrical and not natural in any way.
And just the hideous faces that especially Tim Heidecker puts on as Tom. Just in the middle.
He's always
of
like sinking his like chins together.
Yeah,
when he's talking.
I'm making the
closing
faces,
one
listeners.
eye. Trust me, Henry's doing it over here. But from the very beginning, there's lots of mixed media in Tom Goes to the Mayor. Lots of live action characters and bits. Like in this first episode, Bob Odenkirk is a live action character in the show within a TV. But then we have characters like the Married News Team, who I love. They are live action within the Tom Goes to the Mayor world, but they're separate. They never commingle with the characters. And they would go on to be characters in Awesome Show and in the Steve Brule Show. So that is the one lingering set of characters who went on to live throughout the other projects.
Yeah, I like that too. It again feels very like BBC of like Alan Partridge lives everywhere. He started on like this show called Brass Eye that was a parody of as just one character on a parody of news shows, and then he just exploded and spun off into his own character. Like they create a universe of things that they also even appear in the disgusting $1 billion movie, which that was.
Oh, you're right.
We'll
talk about that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Tom and Tim rather, and the mayor.
It's hard not to call him Tom or Tim in the wrong way.
His name is Tim, but they don't appear anywhere else. They appear in one cold open of a Tim and Eric Awesome Show episode, like doing an intro to Tom Goes to the Mayor, but they're live action, which is kind of cool. But they never brought them back. Ever.
Yeah. I think they realized it played its course, and now it would feel weird to go back and do it. I think they've both grown beyond Tom Goes to the Mayor for sure. And I think Tim especially knows the character he plays is Tim Heidecker. He doesn't even need the remove of Tom Peters to just be a character called Tim Heidecker and everything.
He just plays a version of himself online for the most part. So other talent on the show, they did not just write it themselves, of course. We have Bob Odenkirk of Mr. Show fame and other things. Also Sharpling and Worcester, who Henry's a big fan of. Henry, please dish on those guys.
I love Sharpling and Worcester. They are so funny. Tom Sharpling, he invented podcasting. Well, I mean, podcasting is radio.
I
on
thought
the
Serial
internet.
invented podcasting, I was told.
Certainly. But,
sorry, I'm stealing a joke from Scott Aukerman from 5 years ago.
But Tom Sharpling is a radio show host from New Jersey. He's also from that Rust Belty kind of area. He does The Best Show. John Worster is his main job is professional drummer. He is like the drummer for the Mountain Goats or for
you're right,
for Bob Mould's solo stuff. He's an amazing drummer, but he is also an amazing comedic actor and writer. And so he works with Tom Sharpling on writing stuff. Every time on the radio show, John Worster calls in as a character from Newbridge, which that's also Newbridge is kind of a proto Jefferton in a way. It is a horrible industrial wasteland of just sadness, but it only exists as things described by John Worster's characters to Tom Sharpling's characters. And so they explain and build Newbridge over time. And so it makes sense that Tim and Eric would be fans of The Best Show and want to hire Sharpling and Worster. So they wrote 4 episodes, and the Newbridge is different enough from Jefferton. It's a little more Springfieldian too.
Maybe more. Is it more realistic than Jefferton?
No, actually more
cartoony,
even more cartoony.
Okay.
Honestly, you can actually see a pilot for a Newbridge show called Newbridge, we're coming at you.
Is it a cartoon?
No, it was a live action thing for Adult Swim. It was one of the Adult Swim infomercials, and you can find it.
Oh, really?
It had the misfortune of debuting like right before or right after Too Many Cooks, and no one paid attention to it.
Oh, that stinks, man. They need to put those infomercials out on a Blu-ray. That is like some of the greatest stuff that no one has seen. People have seen Too Many Cooks, but not all the great infomercials they made, the fake ones.
If you really enjoy Tom Goes to Mayor, watch Newbridge, we're coming at you.
I need to see that.
That was a Sharpling and Worcester one. So yeah, they're great. I just watched the thing that Worcester was in last night, the documentary Now. They did one that's a parody of the Talking Heads concert film Stop Making Sense. And in that, they needed a comedy drummer. And so guess who they got? Mr. John Worster.
Not Dana Carvey, famous comedy drummer. He can do that too. Also, another writing talent on the show. I don't know how long he was on it or how many he wrote, but Dino Stamatopoulos, which explains a lot of the just darkness of Tom Goes to the Mayor.
Yeah.
He's got a fun brain, that Dino. Creator of Moral Oral, of course.
Yeah, Dino seems like a very troubled individual who makes great things. But from my sense I got from listening to the commentaries, Dino helped them in the world building pre-release, so he has more credits in season 1 than 2.
Like a developer.
Yeah, like a developer. Like they occasionally will say, "Oh, that was Dino's idea, this thing, right? Yeah, and we put it in this." Like I think Dino helped a lot with the world building, and I mean the hopelessness of Jefferton is a Dino thing, though not as. I mean, I think the bleakest thing that was ever on Adult Swim is Moral Laurel,
Especially the last season?
Oh yeah, yep.
When it's just a drama at a certain point.
But it's one of my later interviews with Dino Stamatopoulos make me think like, boy, you're a troubled individual who makes great art, but you're also like a gross man. I don't know if I'd befriend you, but
I think it's all consensual grossness as far as we know.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
He did have a funny joke where he talked about he's in a sexuality gray area, and that he said his first time was with a man, and the man came out as gay later, but that guy is more ashamed of it than Dino is because he thinks Dino's too ugly to be his first time.
Oh god. Well, he's got the name of a famous dinosaur, so he's got that going for him.
But I mean, Dino was you got the goods guy on Mr. Show.
Yeah.
He was in the Mr. Show orbit. And he's a very funny man who I hope got help for his drinking problems too.
He had a drinking problem too. I guess with all that darkness, you need to pair it with a drinking problem.
I mean, have you seen him yelling at the Venture Brothers guys?
Oh, you're right. I totally
Comic-Con?
forgot about that.
That's not a sober man.
Yeah, that's right. We could talk about more fun things though, like all the many guest stars that were on the show. I mean, they gave these new guys validity to an audience. Like Patton Oswalt will be on the show. Jeff Goldblum will be on the show. Bob Balaban will be on the show. John C. Reilly will be on the show.
Tenacious D in their first episode, as we'll talk about. Like Tim and Eric really understood the importance of celebrity to get their show out there and the power of guest stars. That really gets overlooked in Tom Goes to the Mayor because it's just seen as like, oh, this is a weird thing nobody would watch. You know, like, well, they got all these famous people, like, and some of them I think were just probably the cold calling thing of like, well, we can call anybody, but
then, Bob Odenkirk did the calling,
and then others are Bob Odenkirk saying to Dave Foley, "Hey, can you just come over for an afternoon, do a guest thing here?" I was just looking back through the list of all their guests. The one that makes me laugh here is Dustin Diamond Screech is technically credited.
Oh, I watched that episode.
He does. They just have him on screen over the credits, and it's because they hated everything else he did, and they just cut it. And so they then are like, well, we filmed him over this credit. Let's just do that. Like,
I bet he was trying to play like too obviously funny, and by funny I mean Screech funny.
Dustin Diamond does not understand comedy. And Tom Kenny and Sarah Silverman, Robert Loggia. Maria Bamford. Man, they had so many people. Every time a Mr. Show alum showed up, that was when I felt like a cool dude. I was like, oh yeah, I'm plugged in here. I know what the cool stuff is.
Mm-hmm. And one last thing I want to point out is the music is all by Davin Wood. He's very great. There's actually both these episodes that we're doing today have songs in them, and he would do so many songs for Awesome Show. There's a great album full of the songs from the first couple of seasons of Awesome Show. I
had forgot what a musical show it is. Like there's almost a song every episode, at least one song, and I think some episodes have more than one song, so the show averages out to at least one song per episode. And they also put out the album Tim and Eric's Awesome Songs Great Album, which I listened to on repeat a million times.
Me too.
But I don't remember Tom Goes to the Mayor getting an album.
I don't recall a second album of the Awesome Show songs either. That was like in the middle of season 2 or 3 that they released that album. So there are more songs that need to be immortalized.
My dad stays out late, having fun with friends.
I love that.
I
think my sister's cute. What?
Tim, that's the one where Eric Wareheim's like, I can't support this. No. I did. There was one other actor on the show I did want to point. Well, two others. Ron Lynch.
That
was great. He appeared in so many episodes as the voice of the city council.
I'm not comfortable with this.
And the other is their pretty much sole regular woman on the show, Stephanie Courtney,
who's the voice of Joy, right?
Yes, the voice of Joy. A very large man is photographed as Joy.
If you watch the making of the first one that actually aired on Adult Swim, you can see the man who plays Joy and how the process works.
Yes.
all the photographing and pointing and gesturing.
I mean, everything has to be hideous in Jefferton, so if they had an attractive woman, it wouldn't really work. So
I don't think there was ever an attractive woman in the entire show, or man, frankly.
Stephanie Courtney does appear as the singer of Rats Off to You.
Oh, you're right.
She's an attractive woman, doing a Britney style. My favorite line of it is like, "Oh, ratty, ready, I will thee wed."
Oh, right.
Like, it has to be like, even though she's singing this Britney Spears style sex song, she has to make it clear in the song that this will be marital sex she will have with the rat of Rats Off to You.
You're right. Is there something about pee in that song too?
I mean, there usually
There has
is.
to be.
It's a scatological show.
But now, I briefly, because this will go on forever, but they've done a ton of stuff since then. I'll just name it all. We could talk about some of it. So following this, they did Tim and Eric Awesome Show. Great job. A fantastic sketch comedy show.
Just
worth
a great
checking
show.
out.
Yep.
They did Check It Out with Steve Brule, the spinoff of Awesome Show.
With movie star John C. Reilly.
With movie star playing a character that is fantastic. Things like Decker, On Cinema, Bedtime Stories, $1 Billion Movie, and just many just fun, weird, like let's make a video. Let's make this sketch thing and put it online and have people watch it.
So I will sound like a square for a second here.
Okay. Square away, Henry.
Sometimes I am an uneasy person with scatological jokes, but I can take it to a certain extent. In the 5th season of Tim and Eric Awesome Show, I was like, you're getting a little too gross for me here, guys. I'm kind of not into this.
I think they were getting a little punchy.
And by $1 Billion Movie, we're like, oh, we don't even have Adult Swim on this anymore. We will do anything. And that was when I watched, I think it was after Will Ferrell makes them watch Top Gun, something else disgusting happens in it. And then I was like, I turn this off now. I'm sorry. I
mean,
mean, Tim and
you didn't
Eric.
make it to the shrimp scene?
No, I heard about Shrimp, and that's why I was like, nope, I can't do
I mean,
this.
it's on. I guess it is kind of bad, but you're just sort of like aghast that they would do it.
Yeah.
More than you are just like, well, that's gross. But yeah, I think they did get a little too self-indulgent at a certain point with Awesome Show. But Bedtime Stories, I don't think as many people have seen that as they have seen their other stuff. It is gross. It's a horror show, but it shows you that. You might, after watching Awesome Show, you might think like, oh, the comedy is all in the editing, how quickly things are cut off abruptly or how things move around on the screen. But Bedtime Stories is shot like a filmed drama with regular editing techniques and things like that and great performances and some like deeply unsettling stuff. I think there are 2 seasons of Bedtime Stories. It might be on Hulu, but it's great horror/comedy. And a lot of it, they would be very fixated on dads after Awesome Show. And some of the stories are about dads.
There's a little dad stuff in Tom Goes to the Mirror too.
Yeah. Not as much as when you watch like Awesome Show, there's so much stuff about dads, like what's your dad like? I want to meet that dad. The song about the perfect weekend, your dad having the perfect weekend.
Yes. A lot of familial male friendship. Like that is a big part of it. Like too close of brothers, like we're both brothers, we're too close. Like lots of jokes like, are somebody too close with their like step niece or something?
Yeah.
A lot of like inappropriate
Incest.
closeness. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the Married News Team, the joke was not like these people are ugly or weird or whatever. It's just like they're too intimate in public.
Yes,
we see too much of their private relationship on the screen in inappropriate contexts.
And I think too on Bedtime Stories was when they did the parody of Chris Hardwick post-show shows.
Oh,
like,
you're right.
Yeah, they did like Talking Bedtime or whatever, and it was so great. They were just surrounded by like blue screen, and they're on a couch like, guys, we want to hear what you are saying about their acting with just pointing at things is always so funny. But On Cinema and Decker, which are really the same thing, they're both from the same universe.
By the time I found out about On Cinema, it was like finding out about One Piece, where it's just like, well, where do I start? This bleeds into reality at a certain point, and other shows. Like, can you explain this briefly?
You kind of
explain the world of On Cinema to me, because I've been too intimidated by it. But I've actually watched parts of the Tim Heidecker trial on YouTube.
Yeah,
it's astounding. It's like 3 hours of a court trial with like full of actors and like weird extras.
If you weren't living in the universe of On Cinema as it was happening, there's no way to experience all of it again. And that's how, but 8 months ago was when I really got into On Cinema, and Adult Swim has all of them from the beginning, but they had a podcast first, and I haven't listened to all of the podcasts. But basically, Greg Turkington, a.k.a. Neil Hamburger, he played that character, who he's honestly outgrown, and he's way funnier than Neil Hamburger, the character right now, as Greg Turkington. Tim and Eric were actually just huge fans of Neil Hamburger and had him on an early season of Tim and Eric Awesome Show. And now Tim and Greg just are comedy partners. They started this show that is a parody of movie podcasts and then movie TV shows where you only just love everything. And like Greg Turkington sees every film and knows every film, but also gives every film at bare minimum 5 bags of popcorn. So he has no taste because he loves everything.
It sounds similar to I love Red Letter Media's The Nerd Crew,
Yes.
which is a parody of like every YouTube nerd review show.
Tim Heidecker has appeared on Red Letter Media stuff also.
Oh, okay, cool.
And meanwhile, as the show goes on, though, Tim is the other type of guest. So you have the nerd who's too into it and also has no opinions because he just loves every movies, and Greg. And then you have Tim, who doesn't even like movies or even watch the films they do, but gives everything 5 bags of popcorn, and then constantly derails the show with all of his personal problems and conspiracy theories. And he constantly, the character of Tim Heidecker is a gigantic asshole bully who gets on different kicks of conspiracies. Like first he became became an anti-vaxxer, and then he was one of these like body wellness type guys, and then he became an Alex Jones type guy, then he became just a Trumper, and up to most recently, the character of Tim Heidecker has become a hardcore QAnon person.
That's awesome.
He took over on cinema with a gun and in character and said, no, because I've heard from Q, we all know who that is, that at the Oscars tonight, they're going to arrest all the sickos live, 7:10, and we're going to be right here for it. Watch it with me, guys. And like and the characters just grow and change through it. Like there's also weirdness with wives and childs and death. Like a child dies. He has a son who dies, who he then dedicates shows to. He constantly has
That happens like 3 times in Tom Goes to the Mayor. Like the Married News they have a dead child.
Yes.
I think Wizard, the bass fest guy,
whizzed out, totally whizzed out. My son's dead, but I'm still fun. They're totally.
And then Tom's kid dies in the show. Brendan.
Yeah. They make fun of the. I love how Tom Goes to the Mayor, and up to now they are mocking something that is hard to make fun of, but there are these celebrities who they are getting more fame out of a personal tragedy.
I mean, Mr. Show had the Teardrop Awards, where the Eric Clapton surrogate won the award for writing the song about his dead child, which Eric Clapton did do.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll see you in heaven, baby.
Yeah, that is. So they are making fun of that in that case, and also Tim Heidecker then even he thinks he's a music star, and he also becomes this kind of Johnny Depp style loser who thinks he can write music because he hangs out with other people who sing all these songs for him that he sings over, until he accidentally kills like 30 people and is tried. And he
Tim Heidecker, he's a great comedic actor and a great actor, period. But like the lengths he goes to commit, like he commits, and that's why I respect him.
He will he will cut his hair differently. He will gain a bunch of weight. He will do all these very weird things just to have his style of comedy. It's so On Cinema is it's a world you get to live in, and they half the time tweet in character of that too. Like there's even a running gag that this is just on. I'll stop after this, but there's also a great running gag that in Ant-Man, a year before Ant-Man, the first one came out, the director, Peyton Reed, shows up and says, well, actually, Greg is in the movie. I can say that now. And then Tim becomes incredibly jealous and mean towards Greg for getting to be in the movie. And he gives the only 0 bag of popcorn ever to Ant-Man because of that. But then in the second time, in Ant-Man 2, Greg Turkington isn't in it, but Tim is on screen for like 4 seconds as he calls himself Whale Man, as a guy on a whale watching boat. And then Greg Turkington is like, no, you're not in the movie. You're making that up. No. And it's this weird fight they have. And then there's the show of Decker, which is his side project.
I feel bad because I have not seen Decker, and it's still going on. It's just like 50 episodes of it so far.
Yeah, it's a parody of a Steven Seagal type show with of just this alt-right crazy man who is like a fat action star, and that's Tim Heidecker as his secondary character of Deckar, and also MST3K favorite Joe Estevez is a constant of that world because he'll just show up, and so it's I could talk on forever and ever about it, but the interesting connection to Tom Goes to the Mayor is that Tom plays the ultimate pushover doormat in Tom Goes to the Mayor, and now Tim Heidecker, the character, is the biggest bully in the world who like literally beats people. Like he is physically abusive to one of the men on the show in character. Not really, he's another actor, but yeah. So it's interesting. They just had their Oscar special, which added more. It's really more about the lore of the On Cinema universe now at this point.
I like things that are really made for 5 people.
Yes,
that people have to work hard to enjoy. I can respect that so much. But yeah, all the stuff they've made has been great, and we'll look at their first project after this break.
You don't need to talk about love. Standing there with your fingerless glove, with a beard and a hobo hat. All you need is a woman. What you think about that? Grab a dog. It's got what a hobo needs. Grab a dog. Even if your cover is fleas, grab a dog. Give that ketchup a squeeze. I'm telling you, if you want to live right, give me a bite of that dog. Give me a bite of that dog. Give me.
Come on down and pick up your copy of the Tom Goes to the Mayor
DVD.
I love this complete series.
We got 30 episodes.
We've got behind the scenes.
My DVD has commentary on every episode. You buy my DVD.
Wish your DVDs were smaller?
Don't you buy one for your friends?
Use this DVD to skip to a chapter that you deserve.
Look how big this DVD is.
Jump online now. Your copy's waiting
Look
for
at this.
you.
I got 2 DVDs.
It's a perfect 3-disc set.
In stores now.
Hello, everybody. This is your step host, Mr. Pickle here. Actually, I'm Bob Mackey with the Tom Goes to the Mayor. What a cartoon break. Who is here with me right now?
Hats off to you. It's a parody of Rats Off to You. It's Henry Gilbert.
I'm wearing my Rats Off to You t-shirt. I'm so excited about Tom Goes to the Mayor, and this thing is a relic. But you know who's not relics, Henry? We're not. We're super relevant because we have so many podcasts happening right now.
Brand new ones all the time.
Yes, at the Talking Simpsons Network. If you haven't heard of it, buddy, you need to listen up because we got so much stuff going on there that is exclusive only to subscribers to that network. So please go to patreon.com/Talking Simpsons, and for the low, incredibly low price of $5 a month, you get access to so many bonus podcasts. If you're new, possibly too many podcasts, but there's never such a thing as too many podcasts, I would say, right, Henry?
Certainly not. $5 a month is you only have to steal so much change from the local fountain to pay for that.
That is true. Just one trip to the fountain will get you enough for 1 month.
And with that, you'll not only be able to hear every episode of this podcast a week ahead of time and ad-free, you can be hearing next week's right now, and you'd get to do the same for Talking Simpsons. Plus, you'd get access to all of our exclusive mini-series that we've done over the past couple of years, including one that's going live weekly every Friday right now.
Yes, that's Talk King of the Hill, our exploration of the entire first season of King of the Hill, just like Talking Simpsons, Talking Critic, and Talking Futurama, with clips, history, background information, and so much more. And we're having so much fun doing that podcast right now.
Yeah, going through all 13 episodes of the original first production season of King of the Hill. If you like our talk about suburban malaise in this week's episode, you'll love hearing it too on King of the Hill.
King of the Hill is the Tom Goes to the Mayor show, but with hope and with characters that learn things.
So not as bleak for certain.
Yes,
but and that's just the tip of the iceberg. You could also be hearing us talking to multiple folks who worked on The Simpsons. We've had 2 very recent and great interviews. One with Josh Weinstein, an executive producer of seasons 7 and 8, who'd worked on the show as early as season 4, and also Jeff Martin, who worked on seasons 2 through 4 and wrote some of your favorite classic Simpsons songs. And they tell us so much about those glory days on the show.
And those are both interviews, of which there are, 20 of them on Patreon?
Yes,
whole
20.
And we have a new $10 tier, by the way. It's called the What a Cartoon Movie tier. And if you subscribe at the $10 level, you'll get a triple-length podcast every month about a movie chosen by patrons via a poll we post at the beginning of the month. The first movie was Batman Mask of the Phantasm. We also did Kiki's Delivery Service, Akira, and a Goofy movie. And this month we're doing a Don Bluth movie that's undecided as of this moment, but I think it's going to be Secret of NIMS.
Looking like
I think
Secret
it's safe
of
to
NIMS,
say
yeah.
it's going to be Secret of
Land
NIMS.
Before Time could pull ahead. You never don't doubt those dinosaurs.
We could talk about dead dinosaurs soon. But
or
who knows?
dead rats, one or the other.
Yes. But it's only available at the $10 level. And if you sign up at that level, you also get access to 18 months worth of video content we made at that level before we decided, hey, you guys like podcasts, not videos. What are we, some sort of video men?
You guys should get totally whizzed out with 3.5 hours of chat about a Goofy movie.
Can you believe it? We went there. And that is all at patreon.com/Talking Simpsons. We'll let you get back to the dark bleakness of Tom Goes to the Mayor.
Hi, I'm the mayor, and my door is always open for ya!
My name is Tom Peters, and I'm full of ideas.
Community spirit.
Hi, how are you?
Shopping.
So we're back talking about Tom Goes to the Mayor, and the first episode is called Bear Traps, although I've seen it called Bear Trap Brothers in many places, including the Adult Swim website. But the official episode guide says Bear Traps, and it's always been called that. This is some revisionist history here.
Yeah, the DVD says Bear Traps as well, I believe. Yeah, this is a very smart first episode to do because in 2004, nobody was bigger in the alt comedy world than Tenacious D. Like Jack Black had crossed over. He just was a crossover star at that point. Like I think 2003 was School of Rock.
Yeah, I mean, his movie career was at its peak in 2004.
Like
or peaking.
In 2004, he is filming King Kong. Like he's
you're right.
doing that show.
Yeah.
Like he's a very busy man. So the fact that he could make the time to like be photographed and sing for this, I mean, the amount of work for him was probably, a day.
Yeah.
But a day of Jack Black's time then was worth millions of dollars.
Especially in 2004. This episode opens with a device they don't use very often or possibly anymore. It's the lobby of the mayor's office, which there is no waiting process to get to the mayor for Tom anymore. He just goes in. But I like the idea that this woman is forced to hear the Jefferton theme over and over on a loop for an entire workday.
No, she hums it. She likes it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like Stockholm Syndrome at this point.
Yeah, they say on the commentary that they got rid of the secretary very fast because they're like, well, he's just going to walk into the mayor's office. Like, let's speed this up. And they also, I think, eventually felt that the Jefferton Alive, it was an albatross around their neck because it's just so long and you can't really change it. And it's not even that informative either. Like
You learn about shopping and food.
Yes. It paints quite a great place for the town of Jefferton of like all they can offer is like how they constantly say freedom, you're free, freedom. Like that's the post 9/11 ethos. And then on top of that, you just have like food, shopping, consumption. That's all we have.
It's all about consumption. I think, again, this is made in 2004. I like the idea of the mayor's 9 to 5 being television.
Yes.
Because we have a similar president now where he gets up and tweets about what he sees on TV.
When the mayor says, I was just talking to my TV about
this,
that. I was like, well, that's our current president. That's also something that it's been interesting to see Tim Heidecker. Eric's become more of an actor. Tim is staying on more of the creative side, but it's a tough thing to navigate as satirists like them in satire is, I don't want to say entirely dead in America now, but boy, it's tough. It's tough when the news is more satirical.
Usually satire is an exaggeration of real life events. That's hard to do.
Now that feels like the end of history when satire, you just can't exaggerate anymore.
It's getting really hard for me to do that anymore. But so we meet the mayor and he's watching Bob Odenkirk on TV playing Mike Fox.
My name is Mike Fox, and I've lost 13 of my own children. 4 to wind poisoning, 2 to sand rash, 5 to deadly crickets, and at least 6 to a mysterious drifter who looks and sounds like this guy. This is the sound of my voice.
Oh, no. 1 minute now.
Child safety has to be your #1 priority.
Of course.
And remember, parents, only you and me can scare children safe.
Oh, boy. Hello?
Hello? Mayor's office. How can I help you? My name is Tom Peters.
Hello, Tom.
Can I come in?
Come on in.
Okay, well, I'm an entrepreneur, and I just moved to Jefferton County.
Great. Wonderful news, Tom. Welcome.
I just moved here from Springerton with my wife Joy and our 3 boys.
Oh, that's great. Tom, my fingers are crossed here. I'm really hoping you have some pictures of that beautiful family.
Sure. Well, let me see here. Hold on. Oh, here we go. Here's a shot of Jared, James.
Oh.
That's Maddie, and my better half Joy at Life Challenges Sunflower Camp. That's about 2 years ago.
Tom, that looks like a lot of fun. And look at those boys.
Okay.
They look just like you.
Well, they're not actually mine. They're from Joy's previous marriage, but...
Oh.
I like
He just frowns.
Yeah.
He aggressively frowns
And
after.
then, in the next episode, he has a similar reaction to hearing Tom's actual last name, Mr. Pickle.
Yes, yeah. The mayor does not hide his emotions when he feels something like, oh.
You see that picture of Life Challenges Sunflower Camp a lot in the
Yes,
series. I feel like it's their only picture together as a family, clearly taken in a time of distress.
I love how they destroy the faces of children in the show because the adult actors who agree to be photographed because they look weird, like they have a choice in that. They're like, you know what? I can be made fun of. It's fine. But children, it's not fair. It wouldn't be fair to just photograph directly a child and make fun of it. So you have to fuck with the face.
Yeah, move their eyes apart. I think it makes it easier for them to die on the series too. It's like that's not a human being.
They're freakish things.
Yeah, I mean, children die in this episode at the end. Presumably they're dead.
They would at least some bled to death. Yeah, well, and we're already joking about dead children as Mike Fox is saying about how his 13 children have died.
Deadly crickets.
The crickets exploding out of the child.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Again, these are all on Adult Swim's website for free, and there were like no ads either, which was weird. I'm like, there's no ads on these, but I mean,
I got a couple ads.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I must have ad blockers.
I learned how to join the Navy and how cool that is.
Oh, it's a good thing to put right before Tom goes to the mayor.
Yes, yeah.
But what you're missing is the funny gesturing of Bob Odenkirk.
Bob fucking Odenkirk. So
I like when he
good.
says like number 1, he puts up one finger and looks at it and puts up the other finger. Like that was the wrong finger to put up. It was, and then like he's pantomiming like scared, children, safe, and like the mime he does for children is just like his cupped hand. He can't think of a mime to do for children.
Children,
yeah,
safe. Yeah, I mean, the way he hugs himself with crossed arms when he says safe. Well, also his implication that the drifter is him is like, so you're murdering your children, like, and then he just brags about. Well, and there's also is him being he's very directly a parody of John Walsh. Who's did have a child die.
I forgot about that part of it. Yeah, geez. Yeah. He is a parody of America's Most Wanted Creator.
Yeah, which is just like, well, I mean, John Walsh he's a fine television host as far as that goes. But when you interrogate the idea of like, why is he famous? Oh, well, his son was kidnapped and murdered. Oh, all right.
A lot of it also is this has been a fact of licensed cable, but especially after 9/11, the like cable TV paranoia that wants to scare you every second. Like this will kill you, that will kill you. There are terrorists there. Worry about this. This is basically what they're trying to do with this character here, I think.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It's all about profiting off of fears right from the start, which is a very post 9/11 feeling for sure. And just but Bob Odenkirk is the master of just hand motions.
Yeah.
He reminds me, this character, of course, reminds me of Shake the Crime Stick.
Oh,
character.
right. Something Woody Cooks.
FF Woody Cook. And also it reminds me of the pool ball instructor.
Oh, right.
Just like...
Clap.
Yeah.
And that's how we get gravity.
That's right, yeah. And, very, very similar Bob Odenkirk characters. He's just so good at playing pointing guys. Like
it's fun. It's fun shtick to dress up a weird rant.
In the first Michael Ian Black episode, when he plays the "That's amazing" guy.
Oh, like, right, yeah.
Every move he does for like "That's amazing," or when he's like he says, "And this guy's a tuba soup." Like
you're missing all the great motions Henry's making over here, everybody.
I'm doing my best, but yeah, Bob Odenkirk rules at that stuff.
So Tom is worried about child safety, and as always, the mayor misinterprets what he's saying.
Okay, you're talking about using bear traps to surround these safe zones, right? I love it.
Well, no.
You sold me on this idea.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to show you an old mayor's trick. Do me a favor, Tom. Use your arm to hold that phone up to this ear.
Like this?
Sure.
JB's Trap Shop.
Oh, Trap House. Kyle speaking.
It's your mayor.
Mayor.
Hello, Mr. Mayor.
Well, as you know, Jefferton is in a serious crisis concerning child safety.
Okay.
Right.
Do you know the good Dr. Tom Peters?
No.
Perfect. We need you to install thousands of bear traps all over town. We're talking nursery schools, children's hospitals, petting zoos.
Great. You know what, Mr. Mayor? Frankly, I'm relieved. And tell you the truth, I'm a little bit amazed, too, because you're such a... Hello? To know to call me for this.
So Jack Black doing a great job. It
Yes.
sounds like they're just being recorded somewhere else. Like he's too busy to come to Absolutely or Bullshot Productions or whatever it was at the time.
This is my assumption based on they do have footage of their recording in one of the behind the scenes specials on DVDs.
Okay.
They are in an Adult Swim office,
yeah.
not even a recording studio. So if it feels a little emptier, like they're not in a booth, that is why. At first I thought it was like their homes, but then I noticed behind Jack Black was a Moonanites poster, and I'm like, well, I don't think Jack Black has a Moonanites poster.
Yeah.
So I think they were just in an Adult Swim office for the
I think
day.
you're right to think that.
But I mean, you get Jack Black when he's free. If he can come in and play these characters. I love just the mayor's acting. I'm like, put that phone to this ear.
Yeah.
Like and also old mayor's trick.
And the nice quote unquote zoom into his face during
Yes,
that.
yeah.
They're having fun, like they will have more fun with the mayor, like holding on syllables and things like that, or saying things in a weird way. This is just like a preview of that.
The one thing I didn't notice until listening to the commentary was that in these early episodes, they hadn't completely figured out Tom's costuming because they always it's never said out loud on the show, but Tom wears women's clothes.
That's true, yeah.
He wears giant baggy women's pants that are not fitted for people who have balls, like and same with like women's blouses, like in vests, and definitely no collars. They say Tom doesn't wear collars, but in this episode he's just wearing a regular like collared shirt.
I didn't notice that. Yeah, and I think his hair would get a lot spikier and crazier.
Yes, also that too. I mean, I think in these early episodes they're like, okay, the mayor is crazy, Tom's a normal guy. And soon afterwards, like, well, no, Tom can't be normal. He's weird, but he thinks he's normal. That has to be the way to play Tom.
Nothing in the show can be normal.
Yes, yeah. I mean, you see what a scary woman Joy is, but the more you get to know her, you're like, oh, this is why Tom is a very sad, broken man.
Yeah,
he's destroyed. He lives with this woman that destroys him every day.
He is somewhat abused by her. So Jack Black playing JB.
Yes, very
the Trap
different.
Smith. He reminds the mayor the traps are self-lubricated, but he'll include his double lube at no cost.
JB double lube.
And I guess Kyle, his name is Kyle?
He's Kyle. Kyle is Kyle. Yep.
The mayor hung up on him or something, but he assumes he's still part of his plan.
Like you said, Kyle was very likely not recorded the same day as Jack Black, or if they were together, not recorded at the same time. And that would also probably be because they had a very simple setup based on what I saw. But I do like that JB and Kyle set a tone too, that many characters on the show are the names of the actors. When they Todd Barry's Todd Barry
and Dr. Michael Ian Black.
Yes, yeah. So they kind of stick with that as well. And then though the JB and Kyle are brothers, they're the only bear trap people in town, and that they both have their own shop next to each other, and they are competing bear trap brothers. Like, so you also have like the brotherly animosity type thing that Tim and Eric are really into
like
too.
The whole male relationship angle is a big thing in all of their projects.
And did you notice that Kyle is wearing a beard as his wig? Like his wig is you in some shots later, like during the bear trap song, you can see the strap under his chin.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Beard
Okay.
to his head.
It's interesting.
But JP double lube, I could use some of that.
It's just a rusty bucket. But we see the relationship of Tom and the mayor immediately, where the mayor wants Tom to present this to Gulliver's, to the city council of Gulliver's buffet. And Tom's like, I don't know. Great. and he's like,
okay.
yeah.
And just, I like how he like walks backwards out of the room
Yeah.
too. Though they do a couple things in here too that they animation wise
Yeah.
that they wouldn't do later.
Like, I think there's a rule after this or early on in the show. It's like a character can move an appendage in a scene, but they can't literally walk across the room.
Yeah.
Like, we will cut to a different shot of them at a different location if we want them to move.
Yeah, if they have to hop up and down, like it's just too South Parky. Like they don't want to be that. So, but I mean, again, they're not animators. They made a quote unquote animated show because that was the medium they wanted to write their comedy into. They're not, some animation creators are better artists than others. These guys, I don't think Tim or Eric could really draw if they were told to draw something. But they still made a great animated series.
It's
and worked with great folks.
it's a show evocative of what it's trying to do for sure. Like a lot of care is put into all the signs, all the colors. It's like it is ugly for a reason.
Oh, I forgot another of their great animators on the show though, like who really understood the editing of Tom Goes to the Mayor and went with them to Tim and Eric. Awesome show was Doug Loosenhop, DJ Doug Pound.
Yeah, that's right.
He was a big part of he understood them so early, and that really helped Tom Goes to the Mayor find itself with editing and just like cutting on vowels that only grew exponentially on Tim and Eric. Awesome show, great job.
They're really testing the waters here with how weird they can get, how jarring they can be.
You can't start with Tim and Eric. Awesome show, great job. You got to build to that. You got to warm up Adult Swim to allow these things.
So we're at Gulliver, is a frequent location in the series where the city council gathers, all three members of them. They do not care about the mayor's new hat proposal, and apparently they were tricked by a child believing he was an astronaut last time.
I love that the mayor calls him a real astronaut unprompted. Yeah. It's like, this is not part of the plan. Why are you calling me an astronaut?
And previously he called him Dr. Tom Peters. So Tom presents his material first. Somehow footage of a tragic Christmas gets on the screen of his stepchildren throwing ornaments at him.
Yeah. You're not our dad. Though, I mean, his Santa outfit is horrible. He put like duct tape on his face.
A beard of tape.
Yeah.
But as we do throughout the series, we get a lot of meeting-based humor, which having sat through 1,000 meetings since watching this originally, I can appreciate how lame this is.
Yep.
Bear traps. All right. Well, basically, I've done a lot of research, and we think that the best way to protect our youngest citizens in Jefferton here is to surround them with bear traps.
Wonderful, Tom. Wonderful.
It's basically for their protection, so I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that. Of course, obviously, there's a little bit of risk, so actually a tremendous amount of risk. I hate to say it, but I will guarantee that a number of kids will be injured or possibly killed in the project. Thank you.
All right. I just feel really uncomfortable about the whole idea in general. I don't know if it's something we want to...
Can I just jump in here with an idea?
Pick up at another date?
Absolutely. We're going to have to test it. Maybe creating a test committee.
I don't think it's going very well.
Tom, have you tried Gulliver's spaghetti?
What?
You know, it's the red pasta the Italians call spaghetti. They serve it with marinara.
That's the origin of spaghetti.
Yep, that is the beginning of the character of Spaghetti.
I love him.
He's always
He'll
watching.
spook you.
Yeah, he's gonna spook you. I love the use of MIDI music over the show too. Just like it made me laugh when people have. I hadn't heard it at the time I'd seen the show, but there's famously an awful song that Hulk Hogan did that is meant to be like taken seriously. It's about how sad he is for a dead Hulkamaniac, like one of his fans who dies.
It's like Hulkster in Heaven.
Yeah,
or something
the
like that.
Hulkster in Heaven.
Yeah,
and in it they have the exact MIDI trumpets that Tom Goes to the Mayor has. I'm like,
There's so many bad PowerPoints in Tom Goes to the Mayor with like terrible transitions, inappropriate and wrong graphs and graphics. I feel like this was the internet humor that was not televised yet, like making fun of especially like stock photos, things that are in stock
and clip
photos.
arts. Yeah, totally. They talk about how much stock photos and clip art was a gift to them because they just bought these, collections of here's clip art you can just use, fair use, here it is. And so they talked about how like in one episode Joy has a phone she's talking into, and like all we did was pull up the CD and we searched female phone, and that was the phone,
like a princess phone or whatever.
Yes. And they really understood how funny that was to kids raised by the internet or in computer labs of the 90s too, where they would see cheap shit like that.
I think they were innovative in, I wouldn't call it nostalgia, but in making jokes about the early 90s. Like they were the first in terms of like the bad graphics, the bad technology, the bad public access things. Just like they were very good at salvaging
public
all
access,
of that.
Yeah.
That'd be a big fixation with them, especially with their sketch comedy show.
Yeah, that's, I think that's another reason I fell off a little of Tim and Eric Awesome Show is because they would find these funny people on public access. But
like David Liebehart and James Quall.
In the case of David Liebehart, I feel like David Liebehart is not all there. And
that is very true.
It feels slightly exploiting a person with a mental problem. Like I don't feel like they're abusing him or they're fully taking advantage of him. But part of what's funny about him is that he is not all there mentally. And so it left me feeling a little raw when
they're sort of making him be weirder too. They're feeding him like weirder songs and stuff. I mean, at the same time, he's getting more attention and money than he'll ever get again in his life.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like he's enjoying it, but that was just a thing that has like caused me a little more friction in going back to those.
But when I saw them live about a decade ago, James Quall was there, and he did Beach Blast.
Now, see, James Quall, he's
in on the joke.
Yes, I think he at least knows like Beach Blast. That's fun. Or him doing a Bill Clinton impersonation. That's awful. Like that's hilarious. I do love that Tom says that he can guarantee children will get hurt and even die.
I pretty much guarantee it.
While there is a photograph of a heart made of children's faces and X's appear on some of them to represent that children are dying.
The mayor has an ace up his sleeve. He wants to know about Tom's theater experience. And immediately, a big thing of the show is Tom jumping in too far without realizing his limitations. So he wants to direct this community theater presentation about the bear trap proposal.
And Tom has to do everything too late, and it's always I think I wonder if that's how they just felt as producers of a TV show, that they're just constantly like, we have too many things to do, there's never enough time, we're doing everything, we're just always very tired. Like there's I think a little of that in how tired Tom is often working on things. And meanwhile the mayor represents the capricious producers,
Mike Lazo.
Telling them to do stuff.
So now we have the immortal bear trap song.
Traps all day and traps all night. Traps can snap and rip and bite. Put a bear trap here, put a bear trap there. Traps can go most everywhere.
Traps all day and traps all night. Me love traps with all my might. You can set it and forget it, but don't ever let it get you in the arm. Oh no,
it happened long ago.
Careful with that trap in tow.
Traps are real and forged in steel. Pappy taught me on the trapping wheel. These bear traps, she be my master. They clink and clank like a stab from a shank. Suddenly, there hence a stank. It was I. What a disaster.
Child safety is our code.
Put some bear traps in the road.
Never shall we fear or fight.
We guarantee they'll snap real tight.
Well, you must admit that it's a real man's trade. We'll admit that it's a real man's trade.
Okay, cue the balloons.
It's a real man's trade. We'll admit that it's a real man's trade.
Admit it's a fair trade.
And this sort of sold me on the show, I think. Just like, they're gonna be fun songs in this too. It's a very catchy, clever song. I was singing it all morning after watching this. We've talked about the trapping wheel privately.
I love just the concept of a trapping wheel that, like a spinning wheel for thread, it spins bear traps.
And they're being injured by the traps on stage too.
Yes,
to show how dangerous they are. But I think it's like a real Odenkirk touch. It feels like that part of the musical is the city council approving the project. Like that
plot moves forward. I love that they see puppets of themselves approving it, and they approve of it. And I mean, so Tim and Eric wrote the song. It's not a Tenacious D song. It's just performed by Tenacious D, or really by JB and Kyle, not officially to the D. And this was, I gotta say, when Tenacious D the movie came out, that's when it stopped being cool. But at this point, it was still like, Tenacious D's cool.
The movie came out a little bit too late.
Way too late.
Poor Liam Lynch.
I know they actually talk about Liam Lynch. They drop some names on the commentaries, and then they talk about what assholes they are for dropping names. They're like, I don't know how Jeff Goldblum heard about us. Maybe it was Liam Lynch that told him, or our friend Dan Harmon.
I think Liam Lynch is probably the coolest guy ever.
He seems
more people
cool.
need to know about. Ollie himself.
And my favorite line of the song that I've said a million times to myself, or I just love the spirit of like, me love traps with all my might. And the way he puts his arms up like, it's kind of a Hulk type saying, as in the Incredible Hulk, not Hulk Hogan, who I just talked about. But
I do like the set it and forget it. It's very Ronco.
Yes, yeah. Though they even rag on themselves on the commentary for like, we did a fart joke.
It does stand out to me as being weird. Like he just farts in the middle of the song, and there's a lyric about him farting.
Though at least the way it's sung by Jack Black is funny.
What a disaster.
Hence a stank. I just love that, like, hence a stank, to announce that he farted and that he realized he farted, but only after he smelled it. He didn't know he farted.
It's a different story altogether.
Yes.
So the town is safe at last. Mike Fox within the TV introduces the mayor.
He didn't come to town. He's just like, hey, everyone, look at my TV.
And like on the same set as Scared Safe.
Yeah.
But the town is safe at last, or is it?
Citizens of Jefferton, we are blessed. This is the dawn of a new and safer Jefferton. With the help of the Bear Trap Brothers, we have placed over 20,000 traps around town, making it the largest concentration of traps in the region. I have to say, none of you would be here tonight if it weren't for Jefferton's own Tom Peters.
Oh, thank you.
Tom, on behalf of the entire county and surrounding township, it gives me great pleasure to present you with the key to the city.
My stepson, no!
Thank you all for coming. Safe at last.
So I think the mayor just wanted to kill children.
I think so. He feels he was endangered by children, so I think that's why he was so into the Mike Fox show, is because Mike Fox kills his children.
You think he was misinterpreting as like children are the actual danger?
Yeah. I think that too. Yeah, he's finally safe. Like he's surrounded himself with bear traps. Also, I love just how shitty it looks of the little bear photograph bouncing over the bear trap,
waltzing through them safely. I mean, it's a good first episode. The show would get much faster. I think a lot of the humor, like the original shorts, is about the awkwardness of interactions. Lots of like weird pauses and characters talking over each other. They would lean more into absurdism and torturing Tom, especially in this next episode. It's a lot faster. Like we don't start with the device of talking to the mayor. It's about Tom as a character.
If you're gonna torture Tom more, you got to speed it up.
Start at his house.
And also Paul Child's Children's Hospital. I love that too. I think it was when they finally realized how much they need to. The show is about torturing Tom, not just Tom failing when he's been given a project by the mayor, but that there are people who surround Tom who want to make his life worse actively, like Dr. Mike Lee in Black, like who they just decide like, you're a Steven, we're going to be pranking you.
Right, they call him Steven.
Yeah, like, say it again, say it louder, Steven.
It's like being on the outside of an inside joke.
Yes.
I think what
which
makes
is
it
bullying and horrible.
Yeah, I mean, this episode does not end this way, but I think most of them do, in which Tom is defeated, but his reaction is like, well, that's a fun how do you do? Like, that's like, he's not really, he's kind of unflappable in a way.
Yes, yeah, which I think they said that like Bob Odenkirk's like, that's why you don't feel bad for Tom ultimately, because he just keeps taking it, and that's a detestable character on a certain level. You're like, no, get out of this abuse. If you're going to keep taking this abuse, then I can't feel bad for you anymore.
At least escape that horrible house.
Well, he feels like he can't. Well, usually through debt, he is not allowed to. But this also really set the pattern of like not just a song, but also the town council being needed for approval on things and just having to work with the town council. I think that's became a joke within the show too, of just like, all right, it's time for the council scene, and they had to get weirder and weirder with the council too.
The next episode is Surprise Party, and it's very much in line with what, like, after the first 4 or 5 episodes, what the show really was, how fast it was, how snappy it was, and how weird it got. And this episode opens in Tom's house. He has a bounce house attached to the front of his house, very cumbersome, and it's really busting Tom's bank account. I don't think he's using his fun computer. I think it's an actual computer.
Yeah, well, he got some tower computer to use. Like, it's as we know, he has his own business laptop, which Tom is just like, he's an aspirational businessman. He actually isn't a businessman, but he has his personal laptop that Joy uses for sex videos.
That's right.
But then Tom also now at least has a terrible desktop that he uses, and
he's using Debt Wheel 2.0, and it keeps telling him to consolidate.
Yes, which that is like a classic CD-ROM tax program.
Yeah,
it's people don't pay for now.
Windows 3.1 or whatever.
Yeah, and same with the AIM instant messenger thing he's using too is very, very lame and old.
It's like IRC or something like that. So yeah, Gibbons, the famous character Gibbons, introduced earlier, a very small man played by Brian Posehn, who is the only person who will upset Tom, really.
Yes, he's the only one who can push him far because he's known him the longest, and I think Tom goes back to he can hurt Tom in ways other people can't.
That's true, and he does in this episode for sure.
Yeah, well, and like you said, that they turned a true giant in Brian Posehn into the smallest character in the show too.
I just saw him perform again in Vancouver in November of 2018, and he's still very funny. He's still super funny. Yeah.
I've shared an elevator with him once, and actually, he was exiting the elevator. I was getting into it. This was at San Diego Comic-Con. And it hit me immediately that it was him, and then I could only think for a second as he walked away, like going, "You're awesome." And he's like, "Thanks." And
I'm sure he said thanks.
Yes, it was much slower. Well, that's why I like that. While he is he's smaller and even slower than regular Brian Posehn.
I like this his performance is given because there's all these weird like little sighs between words,
and you just it is like a bad friend too.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Kids in the Hall character Slip My Mind.
Oh yes, yeah, very much. Yeah, and also, I love his name is Gibbons, which is like the plural of a certain ape,
a small primate.
Yes,
and the mayor is in love with Gibbons. He thinks Gibbons is a creature, and he wants to like mother Gibbons.
Pet. Yeah, he treats Gibbons like a pet, and he's. I honestly, why is Gibbons staying with Tom? Because he should just be living in the mayor's like house for some reason.
He really should. So Tom is being interrupted by Gibbons. He's being sent links to a sword website, and it turns out Gibbons is in the same room as him.
Gibbons, I'm working here.
That sword is so awesome. Pretty good bargain for $800, don't you think?
Aren't you supposed to be looking for work?
Nah. I only made 1,000 of these beauties, and it's signed by the dojo where it was forged. And I'm pretty sure it comes with an emerald sheath.
Fine. Right.
What was I going to say? You do know my birthday is next week, right?
Yes, I know. It's my birthday too, remember?
You know, surprise parties are great because you have fun in the beginning of the party. You know, when people get to hide and yell surprise. And then you have more fun, like later, like when it's a normal party. So it's like 2 parties in one party.
Yeah, I know. Surprise parties are cool. Now, listen, Gibbons, I have to get back to work.
It'd be really cool to have a surprise party.
Yeah, loud and clear, Gibbons.
Yeah. That's one of those, loud and clear. It's one of those like Tom just using figures of speech way too much in his speech. He's trying to remain like friendly business speech with all of his friends and people he knows, but he's really getting his patience tested with Gibbons.
And when he asks him about like, aren't you supposed to be looking for a job? It implies that Gibbons just moved in with him because he's like, well, I don't have a job yet, and then that's again a very realistic thing of like you trying to help a friend and then they're just being lazy and you're like, it was agreed upon that I was helping you because you were gonna look for a job, and now not only are you not doing a job, but you're asking me for a very expensive gift on my birthday as well,
and a surprise party.
Yes,
like he's not even talking to Tom, he's talking at him. He's like, you know what I would like? That sword. And I think
like, got it.
I like the idea that it was signed by the dojo because I don't think they make swords in dojos. Yes. Also, a dojo, I believe, is just the building itself.
And it's called a samurai sword, which it looks nothing like either. It's a ridiculous, cartoonish knife, mega knife.
And I love the embedded shitty music player on the site that you can hear in the background. Like the medieval, not even like Eastern Asian style music. It's just medieval fantasy music. Like
the way you said Asian style reminded me too of like one of my favorite running gags in Tom Goes to the Mayor is nothing in Jefferton is just real or legitimate. It's like a sauce house style or a dinner style trough. Like it's just the words that are tacked on by corporations because they're like, well, this isn't really a chicken wing, but
legally we can't call this cheese.
But this is like a chicken style wings with a Y.
A meat product.
Yes. Oh yeah, like an aerosol cheese type solution. Like there's so much of that in Tom Goes to the Mayor, especially with the food of like Sauceman's is a sauce house style sauce house. And same with Joy is feeding her kids from a breakfast style breakfast trough.
Breakfast style trough. God, I love it. So Tom goes to the mayor, as the title of the show says. And did we point out how the mayor answers his door like it's the phone?
Yeah.
Like he sees Tom and he says, hello, who's there, please?
Every time.
Yeah. When he's talking to Tom in his car.
Yes.
He's like, hello, who's there, please? Mayor
here. He comes to him first.
Yeah.
Well, and in this one, I think Tom even introduces himself by name and the mayor still goes, yes, who is this? Well, it's Tom. Tom Peters.
Yeah. And Tom needs to drop off his party grant because, like I said in the intro to the show, Jefferton is all about needless levels of bureaucracy because people just need things to do. So you might as well make everything more complicated. I think just Tom can't afford a surprise party, so he's got to apply for a grant.
Well, it's $750.
Yeah, it's more for a small child. Like Gibbons, put him down as a man.
But he's counts. I mean, he acts like a child. Tom is raising Gibbons. He's just another of his sons with Brendan and Brandon.
And for party accessories, the mayor scratches out clowns. And then he finds out that Gibbons is going to have his party, and he dances around with like a little Gibbons thing on his vest.
Gibbons.
But he's got his own plans for little Gibbs, as he calls him.
Hold on, you're not planning a surprise party for Gibbons, are you?
Yeah, and so many...
No can do, buddy. I've got my own surprise party in the works for little Gibbs.
Oh, okay.
Tom, this is going to be the party of the year. I mean, we've got the small business leaders, the entrepreneurial society, city council's going to be there. Let me see, Chamber of Commerce, the direct marketing committee. Tom, this is one networking event you're not going to want to miss.
Wow, I can't wait.
What? Let me check if you're on the guest list first. No Tom Peters here.
Oh, let's see. It might have ended up going under my maiden name, Tom Pickle.
No Tom Pickles here. Sorry, Mr. Pickle.
No, it's Tom Peters now. You can just call me Tom, though.
Hilarious, Tom. All right, I'll put you on standby, but I'll have to run it by Gibbons first.
Oh. All right.
It's really subtle. I think it's actually pretty subtle how shitty people are being to Tom because it's very businesslike with how shitty they're being, and he takes it very much in stride. Like, oh, okay,
yes,
all right,
yeah. No can do, Tom. Yeah. I'm canceling your party because I'm doing one, and when he just knows that Tom is a doormat, is just like, oh, okay, sure.
And like Gibbons is having a surprise party that he knows about.
Yes.
Tom is not invited.
Yes. That he didn't. Yes. For Gibbons to get that gift, Tom has to, I guess Tom could give him the gift outside of the surprise party, but he's preventing himself from getting the gift. And yeah, the revelation that Tom's maiden name is Pickle, which when his father appears in another great episode, his last name is Pickle.
It is Pickle.
They stick with that, but that he's they imply on the commentary that Tim is like, well, the backstory could be that Tom hated the name Pickle so much that he'd marry anybody to just take a different name. Like he really does hate being called Pickle, which, I mean, he probably had been mocked for that his entire life. And he goes from like Tom Peters, which like Peter is kind of a phallic name, and one of the ways his name has been misspelled in the show at this point is penis. It was written Tom Penis.
Yeah, if you haven't watched the show, his name is misspelled every time it's on screen.
Yes.
Even in this episode on his business cards.
Yes.
Yeah.
My favorite is Tompy Tears.
Tompy Tears.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe it's TAWMPY.
Yeah.
Space TEARS. Tompy Tears. It's so hilarious. Yeah.
They found many variants of that. One of
Tom
my
Petrus, Tom Petrus.
Petrus is in this episode, I think. But one of my favorite. So his name is his actual name, or his. He took his wife's name, which is another joke.
Yes,
which is not something a man traditionally does in America.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it. There's no law against it. But when I got married to a man, we both were just like, I kind of like keeping my driver's license the same. Yeah, me too.
It's too much fuss, really. But
well, neither of us cares for our last name, so we don't want to give it to the other person either. So we're just like, let's just keep it the same.
Knowing that his name is Mr. Pickle, one of my favorite lines of dialogue from the series that is like funny out of context is he's going into his kid's bedroom. He's like, "Hey kids, it's your step pepper, Mr. Pickle." Like I think about that all the time. It's your step pepper, Mr. Pickle. But again, also being very businesslike and very meeting speak with his kids.
Yeah,
like, "Hey
like,
kids, it's me, Mr. Pickle, your step pepper."
Well, yeah, I think there's one episode where he tries to explain to his children how important some meeting is to him, and the kids just don't care, nor should they. Like he often, like, Tom is an asshole too because of the way he puts business ahead of everything for himself, which again, he is not a successful businessman, fails at everything, and yet he sacrifices all for business, right? Like right here, just the idea that he could be able to network with the losers of Jefferton and their small businesses. Like he's so excited about that. And the mayor, obviously the mayor could just put him on the list of invites, but he's like, nothing.
You're going on standby. Way. Yeah. For all the adventures he's had with the mayor, he can't get into that
and
party.
He introduced him to Gibbons.
Yeah.
The mayor knows Gibbons because of Tom. And is also no one comments on it and it disappears in the scene. But Tom pisses his pants.
Yeah, you heard it in the clip. Just out of fear?
Yeah. No, I thought excitement.
Oh, excitement.
Like,
okay.
Boy, all these guests I can give out my
That's right. That was an excitement pee. You're right. You're totally right about that. So Tom was at the mall, and he's wondering how he's going to pay for that sword, which is now more money than it is on the website. It's $950.
And also that most stores are closed at the mall. Now all malls are closed, but even in 2006, it was like, half of them are closed. The businesses are dying. No one can afford to live here.
Like 14 years later, going to a mall, go to one of your local malls if it's still open. You're like, am I going to get mugged here? Like, there's nobody here. There's no one in this entire alley of the mall. So Tom is peering in the fountain. He sees coins, and he sees his dark side, Mr. Pickle. I want to explore Tom's life before he was Mr. Peters. Mm-hmm. He's got the male perm going and everything.
Tom Pickle seems like a cool guy who actually is not afraid to do stuff. They also on the commentary they say, like, how many times has Tom Pickle talked to Peters and we haven't seen it?
Yeah, that's true.
This is all just a dissociative event for Tom Peters of his old self telling him to break the law. Basically, Tom Peters is like, you gotta agree with that.
He just wants a reason to steal, but Gibbons interrupts him from stealing.
Who are you talking to?
Gibbons, what are you doing here?
Who, me? Oh, the mayor got me a job as a security guard.
Isn't it so cute, Tom?
Yeah, I guess.
So, Tom, I was going to ask you something.
Can't wait to hear what it's going to say.
Did you have a chance to check out that sword I was telling you about?
Yeah, it's nice. Pricey.
Totally. I bet it could slice through anything. What do you think, Mayor?
Probably anything.
When do you think you'll get it for me, Tom?
Soon, Gibbons.
That's good news. Well, I gotta make my rounds. I'll probably stop by the food court and get me a mixed greens combo.
Okay, thanks for the info.
Hold on a second. There's something else. What else was I gonna tell you? Oh, yeah. Check you later, Tom.
Tom, you just gotta get Gibbons that sword. It's all it talks about.
God, I love all the little.
and also the sour looks on Tom's face. He's like, "Would you just say what you're gonna say?"
One more thing. Catch you later. Like the one more thing was just saying goodbye.
Yeah. Oh, and that mixed greens thing. That's another fact of Gibbons. He loves salad.
Yeah, he loves salad. Like in the first episode we see him in, he won't stop talking about the Caesar salad when Tom is trying to get rid of him.
He's like, "Please go, get on the train." He's like, "Oh, the Caesar salad." And also the mayor can't stop calling him it. It's all it talks about.
Yeah. You got to get him that sword, Tom. It's all he talks about.
And that now Gibbons has just been handed a job by the mayor too.
Just because he looks cute in a little cop outfit.
Which is to be a security guard. Like, the mayor can't make someone a security guard.
Yeah, he can do whatever he wants in this town.
Jefferton, he runs the town. Yes, that's very true.
But up next, we get a song by Amy Mann, uncredited, right?
It's not Amy Mann.
I thought it was because she's part of that community.
They wanted Amy Mann, but it's another of the singers on the show. It
sounds just like Amy Mann.
It's a very good one.
You know what? My MP3 was mislabeled, sir.
No, they say it on the commentary that Bob Odenkirk promised them Amy Mann.
No wonder. I probably got that fact conflated in my head.
And that but Amy Mann couldn't, there's a scheduling problem. They couldn't get her. So they just had a voice actress they know sing an Amy Mann style
It's
song.
really good. And it's a song that is not played for humor. And I love the melodrama of the montage, like zooming past all the characters.
Oh my God.
It's very well done.
It's never been more artful than in this. Like the picture of the scowl of joy with the kids in the bounce house behind her, like as it kind of like moves in a multi-panel way is really artful, and you kind of understand Tom's fears right there. You're like, oh, this is the family he's terrified of.
And it's a montage of him stealing from the fountain and, Gibbons being aware of that fact.
And he's stealing from himself.
Yes.
And meanwhile, you see the mayor with a very blank look on his face is there setting up Gullivers for him. And it's happy 50-ish.
50-ish birthday.
Yes. And keep in mind that on the commentary too, they say they feel a little bad that this gets lost in it, but this is Tom's birthday too, and no one cares.
Yeah, that's right. You hear it once, like, it's my birthday too.
Yeah, and nobody cares. No one is buying him a gift. Gibbons doesn't care. Like that again, if Tom had any self-respect, he would say to himself, well, this friend of mine isn't getting me anything for my birthday. I shouldn't be friends with this person.
It's very fitting for the show that you hear it's Tom's birthday once and it never comes up again.
Yeah. And him just stealing pennies from the fountain. I had a thing like that change house as a kid. I got
me too. I wrote that down. You know what? Always got jammed though.
Yeah, it broke probably about 2 months into putting change in it.
It was fun to watch it sort the change though. And I guess the understated thing in the background is like while he's stealing change, the kids from Wish Camp are watching him. So that's where the money is going to. They don't really explain it that well in the episode, but that's why he's stealing from children.
Yeah, I like it better in the episode. Later in the episode, I felt like it's just implied that everyone accepts wishes are real, and that he's literally stealing wishes from children.
They're not gonna get their wish ponies. So Gibbons,
I always wonder what happens to that money in fountains at a real mall. Like I would figure just some employee sweeps it all up and takes it home.
I wonder if you work in a mall, let us know.
Yeah,
we can help you.
Or if you ever did. I mean, malls aren't real anymore.
They really aren't. So Gibbons confronts Tom with some friendly extortion.
So, how'd your arm get so wet?
Well, funny story, actually.
And where'd you get all that change from?
Well, as you know, I have a piggy bank.
Tom, I was wondering, from your perspective, like where you're standing, when you look at me, do you see an idiot?
Gibbons, what are you talking about?
I've been watching you steal from that fountain for days now, and I'm pretty disappointed in you. Don't worry. I won't turn you in, but I want half.
Gibbons, you don't understand.
Half.
Gibbons, you know I have financial problems, and it's for a friend.
Half.
God damn it, Gibbons, it's for you.
Half.
Gibbons, I steal from children. Do you think I'm proud of that?
Half.
Half?
Half.
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 Yeah, fine.
getting me that sword, right?
So I love when Tom is pushed too far. Like, he is so sleepy and low-key in the first episode. Now you see where they bring him to later.
Yes, yeah.
Where he's freaking out.
I love his screaming like, yeah! Like, just in... but Gibbons is playing. It's funny to hear sleepily play the bad cop.
I was thinking of that. Like, he has to do the cop speak. Like, do I look like an idiot?
While playing like a stoned guy. Like, it's all, that's something too I like about Tom Goes to Mayor in general, is that it is stoner humor, but it's not about being stoned.
Yeah.
Like, you can obviously correctly assume that Tim and Eric are doing drugs while making the show, but it's not about the culture of pot. It's not about being a cool drug smoker.
In fact, they make fun of the culture of pot, and they would. I mean, like...
the jazz man, right?
Yeah.
He's totally that.
And when the mayor gets glass eyes, they have like little weed leaves on them too.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot that. Oh, the jazz man also like kind of sexually assaults Tom, I think.
I think there is some of that in the show.
Yes. Yeah,
not a lot of it.
Look, some stuff doesn't age better than
We're just happy
others.
there's not more, given when this was made.
Oh, good God, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we go back to Tom's house. He has to go through the bounce house to get the mail. A very, very, very bad setup there.
He's gonna let Gibbons steal half the money and still buy him
get the sword to get into the party, to attend the party. But I guess his birthday is acknowledged. He gets a Carlson Realty card for Tom Petrus, or current resident. I like it. It's like, I guess I got to send him a postcard now. Like, that will give him something to do. Like, he is valued. Like, his wife is not saying happy birthday. His wife is screaming at him.
Yeah, in another episode where he gets in a car accident, she's like, "You selfish motherfucker. You messed up my car." And I love the animation, too, of how Tom bounces through the bounce house to the front door.
But he gets the invitation. I like when he's opening it, he's excited, and his wife is like, "It's probably just coupons," or something like that. It's like, he is not allowed to be happy.
And they actually did spell his name right on the invite, so he should also be happy on that. Yeah.
Wow, some dignity was given to him. So Tom arrives at Gulliver's for Gibbons' 50-ish birthday party, and he passes out his business cards with his name spelled wrong and with the not current phone number.
Yeah, with no phone number, not even an old one.
Oh, right.
It says phone number still pending.
Oh, still pending, right.
Yeah.
Like, he can't afford another phone line.
And the address on it is not his home address, but like a storage locker.
We see his like quote unquote office in the show. It is a storage locker. And also, if you look at the letter, I paused. The state he is in is CG.
Oh.
So, I mean, they are computer generated characters and graphics and stuff, so that makes sense.
And the mayor's wearing a top hat, which makes me think he finally got that mayor's hat.
Is his picture on it, though?
It
has
no,
to be his
not
picture on it.
No.
So Gibbons is given the sword, and Tom is busted.
Well, Gibbons, I got you your sword here.
Oh, really?
Yep, right here.
Great. Now I have two stupid swords.
Nice try, Tom. Mine's the executive model.
So, you bought that with your own money?
Gibbons, come on.
No, seriously, that's an expensive sword. You must have worked real hard for that.
What are you doing to me?
Hey, isn't it true that you stole for that sword?
No, of course not.
Huh, great. Some little girl can't get her wish pony because I needed a second stupid sword.
Gibbons, I think this should be a private conversation.
What was I going to tell everybody? Oh, yeah. Check this out.
I steal from children. I steal from children. I steal from children.
You framed me?
Sorry, buddy. I would have gotten suspended if I didn't turn you in.
Don't worry, buddy. It's probably just a slap on the wrist.
From children. I steal.
Tom Goes to Jail, the new series. I like, there's so much going on, but I like how Gibbons like, I had to turn you in, buddy. I get in trouble. It's like, you didn't have to expose him in front of an audience with a video you made.
There was no reason to do it that way, to humiliate him like that on his birthday.
And also, Tom was not framed. He did steal money.
Yeah, he's like, you're framing me? Like, no, you stole these things. Like, you got caught, but
all because I needed a stupid sword.
That's, they say it on the commentary that their intention was to write Gibbons' reactions to be like a shitty kid who's like, you like when you're a friend of the family who gives a kid a gift and the kid hasn't learned to pretend to like a present, so he's just like, This sucks.
That's a good like reading of Gibbons. I like that they put that on him.
In this one especially, he's just like I need another stupid sword. Oh, it's done. And
he doesn't even like the mayor's sword. I like how just Caddy the mayor's like, sorry Tom, nice try.
Yeah,
he got Gibbons the better gift, and he's proud of himself.
He's trying to show off too. He's like, you thought you could get him this sword? No way. I got him the executive model.
And
way
he was
better.
like tricking Tom the entire time. He's like, he really needs that sword, Tom.
Yeah, you know what? That's right. They're really fucking with Tom constantly, and they just pretend they aren't. And
yeah.
Tom, again, remove yourself from the situation, Tom. But he seems to think it's just normal. He's just like, yeah.
And he's even plucky when he is in prison. Let's catch up with him there.
Hey, Tom.
Oh, hey.
What are you up to?
Oh, me? I'm on community service here for about 6,000 consecutive hours.
Community service? What for?
My stealing, you know?
Tom, you shouldn't steal, buddy.
Well, I'll make a mental note of that for next time. But I guess I'm killing two birds with one stone here. Highway litter is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine.
Let's go, Gibbs. We got an appointment at the sword range.
Check you later, Tom.
And the final scene is Tom contemplating stealing a penny he finds on the ground, but not doing it. I love how insincere the mayor is, and I love how they don't remember him at all.
Yep.
Like, you shouldn't steal, buddy. I'll make a mental note of that. Like, it's a very, again, I love like Tom's like meeting speak he does, like this chipper meeting speak. He's being uncomfortable, but he can't say anything. He's like, make a note of that.
Yeah, he's like, you put me here.
Yeah.
You did this. Also, I didn't do the math until right now on that. When he says it's also Tom meaning speak of Tom is in jail.
He's in
not
jail.
in community service. Yeah. So when he says for 6,000 consecutive hours, that is actually 35 weeks.
Oh
or
my God.
That would be 3 years. He's in jail for 3 years, pretty much. Wait. No, 35 weeks? No, there's 50. He's in jail for like more than half of a year. That's how long he's going to be in jail for stealing wishes from children.
That seems lighter for some of the crimes people are put in jail for, though.
Well, Jefferton has weird statutes. There's also underneath that scene a very nice piano reprise of Stealing from Yourself.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And that to that sword will come back in the Jeffy episode.
Oh, that's what the mayor uses to kill Jeffy.
Yes,
I like the idea of the sword range. Like, I thought Gibbons hated those swords.
Yeah, well, maybe it's really the mayor's love, and that Gibbons just rubbed off on him.
The swords are. Gibbons is taped to the mayor on his little motorbike,
and that they talk about how it was written worse in their original draft, and they learned some things. How when the last coin is dropped, Tom, like in the text, said out loud, "Ooh, a penny. Should I pick it up? No, I've learned my lesson." And they're like, "Oh, that's really sweaty."
Yeah.
And so they said they learned that music could tell the story and the emotion without all that dialogue.
Make Davin Wood do it. I'm not writing anymore.
And it worked. It did work good of him just like going, "Oh, no, I shouldn't steal this penny."
Yeah.
Like,
with very cartoony, like plinky music.
Doodly-doo. Yeah, I think them driving away is enough, though. They could have ended the joke there, just like they put Tom in jail
later, Tom,
with a gift he didn't need. When he, after humiliating him at a place where he tried to network, so he is ruined forever in the town. Like, he's never going to be a businessman to any of these people.
And Gibbons is going off to have fun with the thing he's in jail for.
Yes, yeah.
Which that should be taken away from him. It was bought with stolen money.
Well, the mayor makes the rules.
That's
man.
true.
It's all up to him.
Did we ever see police in Tom Goes to the Mayor, like policemen?
There's definitely, there's police lights. There are that.
Yeah.
In the John C. Reilly episode, when he becomes Tom's violent friend who kidnaps them, there is the fear of the police coming. And I think too at Pipe Camp, the cops are at Pipe Camp. They arrest people.
That's
there.
right. Yeah.
So yeah, but there's not really a cop character though, I don't think. Yeah, they're not all that present.
So that was our examination of the great show Tom Goes to the Mayor. I'm happy to say that it's held up very well. And I'm remembering how much I like it just by going through this. I've watched like the entire half of the series just for this episode, just because it's so digestible. There's a great DVD with all the episodes on it, commentary for everyone.
Yeah, it's an amazing DVD package for the complete series. I'm glad it came out just as DVDs were becoming bad.
Yes.
Yeah. It's one of the last good ones Adult Swim put out. Well, no, all the Tim and Eric Awesome Show ones are really good.
They all
DVDs
got
too.
good, every season of that got a good DVD, I think.
But the 11-minute 30 episode thing makes it so easy to just put it on in the background.
Yeah.
Like when I first moved here, that the commentaries were the background for me building a dresser. Like I was
nice.
I just bought this IKEA dresser. I'm going to build this while I listen to Tim and Eric. And that was like Bob Odenkirk's on several of them too, talking about their work experience together. It's really interesting.
It's great to hear like behind the scenes stuff, because one thing I didn't like about them at first was when they did interviews, they were in character, not giving real information. But after maybe like 6 months of that, they were like, no, let's just actually talk about comedy with people. We like comedy. We want to talk about it. I was glad they dropped that because it really frustrated me. Like, no, tell me why you're funny, please. I want to know.
Andy Kaufman would be annoying now.
Yeah, we don't want that.
It's funny as somebody who got into Andy Kaufman after he's dead, that you can just choose to see his stuff and you can whenever you want. It's not like you're waiting to see him on a TV show and then he just does something annoying and you just have to deal with it. That's why as when you're a fan now, if Tim Heidecker just appeared on everything in character and being shitty, you'd be like, I kind of just want to hear about your new project.
Yeah.
Though. I like you.
But yeah, all of their stuff is great. Also, like I said, check out Bedtime Stories. I think it's not as viewed as other stuff they've done, and they're very great. And if you think it's all like, all of their jokes are just, weird editing and weird characters, they tell great stories with that horror series. I really recommend it.
Yeah, going back to Tom Goes to the Mayor, there are some bits that do feel just like slightly amateurish or dated, but mostly it's held up really well, and you can see so much of the promise of the, master comedians they would grow into. I meant to mention too on how much they've influenced stuff when we were talking about that. They only directed, I think, one Old Spice commercial. They did the Terry Crews Old Spice commercial of just exploding heads and everywhere. Like, that was so indelible and huge that people, every fucking brand ripped it off.
Yeah.
And for years, we're like, okay, we have the weird commercials. The rainbow is shitting gold. And then a raccoon eats a bear or whatever. Like all thanks to Tim and Eric making a fucked up commercial with Terry Crews screaming a bunch as explosions happened.
They are ripped off quite a bit, but this has been our episode of What a Cartoon About Tom Goes to the Mayor. Check it out again. It's on DVD and on the Adult Swim website, all of it for free with some Air Force ads, apparently. You must join the Air Force once you watch the entire series. It's a rule.
I'm sure you can get the DVD for pretty cheap these days, too. It's totally worth it.
We talk about that a lot, but like every DVD box set is like a nickel on Amazon. It's like, get these out of here. Get these out of our warehouses. We do not want them.
As of this recording, a new copy is $29.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
That's $1 per episode. You can afford that. Or just watch it for free on the website.
And there's only 8 left in stock at the time of this recording, so
I
move
hope they don't run
fast.
out. But thanks for listening, everybody. This has been What a Cartoon, and we are brought to you by the Talking Simpsons Network. That is what we work for. That is who we are. That is our full-time jobs. And if you want to support this show and get every episode a week ahead of time and ad-free, please go to patreon.com/TalkingSimpsons at the $5 level, a very popular level that is very budget-friendly. We offer so many things. Along with the advanced episode of this podcast, you also get advanced episodes of Talking Simpsons. And you also get many other things at the $5 level, including our currently running series, Talking of the Hill, that's going through the entire first season of King of the Hill, alongside other things we've done in the past, like Talking Critic, Talking Futurama, and honestly, too much to list here. If you've never been part of the Patreon, signing up today will get you so many podcasts you've never heard before, and they're so easy to listen to on any device with any program you use. So please check it out at patreon.com/TalkingSimpsons. And Henry, we have a new-ish, like Gibbon's 50-ish birthday. It's a newish $10 tier where we offer a new triple-length podcast for our patrons.
That is correct. It's a podcast-style podcast of, it's called What a Cartoon Movie, where me and Bob do a premium-style podcast about a different animated film each month. We've done Batman Mask of the Phantasm, Kiki's Delivery Service, Akira, and a Goofy movie. And in March, there's going to be a brand new one based on a Don Bluth film that our audience is currently voting on at the time of this recording. You can hear all of those. They're like, at the very least, a double-length podcast with me and Bob talking about a different animated film. And you can only hear it if you give at the $10 premium level at patreon.com/TalkingSimpsons. And just like Talking of the Hill, and Talking Critic and Talking Futurama. You can only hear those if you're a Patreon subscriber. You're missing out on tons of full-length podcasts. It is a Trough-Style smorgasbord of podcasting fun at patreon.com/Talking Simpsons.
And I'll tell you, that movie podcast is more popular than I ever would have dreamed at the $10 level. People love it, and doing Goofy movie got us a ton of new signups.
You people
love Goofy.
Yeah, and we love talking about Goofy. Oh, what a fun time that was.
That was great. So again, that is patreon.com/Talking Simpsons. Please sign up today. The more we make, the more podcasts we'll make for you, and that's a pretty sweet deal. As for me, I've been one of your hosts, Bob Mackey. I'll be on Twitter as Bob Servo for the time being. Check out my other podcast, Retronauts. It's a classic gaming podcast that's been going on for a long time. So check it out. Download an episode about a topic you like and then subscribe to it. I think you'll like that podcast if you like video games. Henry, how about you?
Hey, I'm Henry Gilbert, and that's HENEREYG on Twitter is my handle. You can see me tweeting about anytime new podcasts or other content go live on the Patreon or on the free feeds for all you listeners out there. That's HENEREYG.
Thanks so much for listening, folks. We'll see you next week with the Boondocks episode, The Garden Party. We'll see you then.
Absolutely. It's Tom Peters, not Petra's. Mind the typo. Tom Peters here. Yes. Here, take a business card. The number on there is not current.
Whether you're looking to build a website for your business, your hobby, your podcast, or just for fun, Pair Networks is your go-to web hosting partner. Not only do we have the lowest domain price in the industry, starting at just $11, we've got hundreds of stunning website templates to help you stand out from the crowd. You're not a techie? Not a problem. With our easy DIY site builders, you can launch your impressive website without any technical know-how. And when it comes to security and updates, don't worry, we've got you covered. Our 24/7 US-based customer support is the best in the industry. Check out pair.com today to learn more. PAIR.com.